All right, guys, we're live. Thanks for coming out tonight. We are going to be doing a Dragon Grin Copper Jackal little incursion tonight. I am DM Drake. Have run the channel DM Drake on YouTube. Just trying to add some more videos to that. Got four great players in tonight, and they're going to talk a little bit about their characters, and then we'll get into the game. We're going to start off with Bill.
My name is Bill. I run a RPG blog called Freelix.com. You guys can come on by and take a look at the website if you like. I haven't done a lot of videos yet, but I'm also at Freelix on the YouTubes. And you can find me at the Facebook. I also have a Facebook page for Freelix. It's just spelled Freelyx. The character I'll be playing today is going to be Silveress, who is a monk with a bounty hunter background and a proud member of the Copper Jackals. Let's see if I can. I don't remember the. Can you Drake? Can you give me the name of that group again?
Yeah, it's the White Raven Retrievers.
Thank you, the White Raven Retrievers. He gave it to me. I did get all the information put on my character sheet, but I couldn't find it.
Your audio's a little bit cutting in and out. So just while they're doing the other intros, if you can see if you can get that one fixed.
See what I can do in the settings. See what adjustments I can make.
All right. Next, we're going to go with Adam.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Adam. I don't have any YouTube channel. I'll be playing Earn Wildspear, aka Puck. I'm Fey Pact Warlock from the Spine of the Old Vale chapter of the Copper Jackals. So I'll be hunting dragons with you tonight.
All right, Chris.
All right, I'm Chris. I do have a YouTube channel. It's Drop Dice. We do mainly Oriental Adventure type stuff on there. Legend of the Five Rings is the big game, but then we have other stuff like Dragon Ball Z and D&D and random games kind of throughout the whole channel. But tonight I will be playing a Ghostwise halfling named Lucky who has lost his leg to a dragon. He's seeking eternal vengeance walking the earth, killing any dragons that he can get his hands on.
All right, and last but not least, Matthew.
Hello, I'm Matthew. I'm going to play Nala Skywatcher, female Goliath, cleric of the Tempest of the Ram God, and from the Stormbringers chapters, and we'll hunt some dragons tonight.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. 1 second here. All right. Can everybody hear me good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to begin with you guys are going to get a little bit of just kind of background. Of course, you are familiar with each other by reputation, but none of you have ever met. And we will start here. Long ago, in this land, there was a great war. For 1,000 years, dragons and elves fought throughout Dragon Grin. Back and forth, neither side gaining any advantage. Both races long-lived, both races so powerful. A stalemate ensued. A millennium ago, the elves discovered an ancient ritual, ancient even to the elves. This was dark magic, forbidden magic, a spell that would render the dragons inept and have them revert back to their primal beginnings. This ritual called for a blood sacrifice, but not any sacrifice. This one was special. It required the blood of a willing member of the royal family. The Elven King, not willing to give up his children, took his own life to save his people and end the war. Forever known as the Blood King, the festival of King Lorundan is celebrated during the reaping each year. The details of the story have faded or been exaggerated over the centuries, but there is no denying that the ritual worked. Every century, for one cycle of the moon, the dragons of Dragon Grin fall victim to the rage. You begin in Felrune Wood, a long-dead, festering area of bogs and fallen trees surrounded by dense forest. The area has overrun the ruins of an old, ancient orc stronghold named Linnock. You are told you are to meet Dorn. He is a Copper Jackal who specializes in slaying dragons. He is said that he cannot be killed, that he can kill a dragon with one hand, that he is as strong as 10 men. You are all experienced dragon hunters, but none of you have ever met Dorn Drakeslayer. You are camped on the edge of Felrune Wood. It's here you were ordered to wait for Dorn. It has been hours. No one has arrived. Your fire is getting low. Night is falling. What would you guys like to do?
Well, this Dorn fellow is taking a long time. Any one of you guys want to maybe move out?
It's probably getting towards dusk, probably 6 or 7 o'clock at night right now.
Okay. And is he supposed to be there for a long time, or?
You guys had expected him. They just said the day, and they said the location. They didn't give you an exact time. You guys really don't know the specifics of even why you're here, other than it has something to do with the dragon. But you weren't given a specific time.
I guess we should maybe at least try to find some tracks of a dragon, or at least some hint of Dorn presence in the surroundings. Maybe he got lost, or maybe he got attacked by the dragon we're supposed to hunt. Who knows?
Could be.
Lucky or Silvaris, what would you guys like to do?
Lucky will get up and he'll grab his pack. Kind of ruffling around through there, he pulls out a small effigy, and he kind of rubs on it a few times. Then he tucks it back in the pack, and he starts walking around the fire. He leans real close to the earth, feeling the ground. What I'm going to do is a survival check. What Lucky is doing in particular is he's listening to the forest. Or maybe it's a perception check, I guess. Listening to the forest, looking for activity of animals, or at least the lack thereof. If Dorn has gone missing, there may be something greater that's a bigger threat to us.
Yeah.
Sure. Give me. Just give me a straight wisdom check.
Okay. So let's see here. It's going to be 18.
Yeah. What you really find odd is when you really just kind of close your eyes and you pay attention to the sights and sounds right now. You notice something very odd. Although you're in a forest, or at least on the edge of a forest, you don't hear the chirping of birds. You don't hear crickets. You don't hear really anything. It's eerily quiet. There's really nothing as far as auditory that you notice, and that in itself is very strange to you.
Okay. The last thing Lucky will do is he'll grab a handful of grass and he'll simply kind of let it go, just seeing which way the wind is blowing currently.
Okay, great. Silvaris?
Silvaris will get up and patrol the outskirts of the camp as well, kind of looking around, paying close attention to the shadows and seeing if there's anything out of the ordinary in the area. Perhaps we were being watched. Maybe he's sent some scouts ahead and he's waiting for the opportune time to make his entrance.
Give me a survival check.
I got a 17 without bonuses. With bonuses, it's going to be way up there.
I'm sorry, Bill. Put it in chat. Okay, yeah. You don't see anything in the immediate area. You do notice, probably 20 feet away, smaller footprints. You notice that they're far too small to be human unless they were a child. Just because of your background with tracking, you'll know that these are probably from either a gnome or something along that size. Very, very small feet. But there's nothing in your immediate area, and the tracks that you see, the small tracks, are old, probably at least 2 or 3 days. And again, it's rather difficult to see much more than that with how dark it's getting currently.
Okay. I'll make my way back towards the camp, trying to stay within sight of the rest of my party, and I'll join them and recommend that we set up a watch if it's going to get into the evening and we're going to go back to sleep for camping time.
Okay. What about Marpause? What would you like to do?
Nara would check see for the sky and see for signs using the Stormbringer's renown. So I can guess a bad omen, good omen, something that the sky can give me.
Right. That's your renown 2 skill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet. You look up, and you're used to the mountains and the high clouds and things like that, and you notice that, especially within the forest, that a greenish kind of mist, a very light mist, seems to engulf the forest, and it even almost goes up slightly. From your experience, you know this to be a sign that there is a powerful evil relatively close to you, and that you should be very careful. You don't get an exact feeling of what it is, but you just know that this is not a good omen, and that you should be very careful in this area.
In that case, Nara would just say, this place is surrounded by evil. We need to make sure that we're not ambushed or something. This place is evil.
Yeah. Well, maybe if we don't want to be ambushed, we should try to move out a little. If we're just sitting duck, whatever is surrounding us, whatever evil you're feeling, might be waiting in the shadows to ambush us. So I suggest we try to track it first before it tracks us.
Yeah, if you guys want to pack up your camp and go tracking in the woods, you're more than welcome to do that. You are all aware that about half a day's travel is a small village named Edgewood that you could get to within about half a day, but there's really nothing close from where you are. Or you can wait the night out and start looking the next morning.
We can do many things. what do you want to do? I would vote to wait and see what happens, but I can be persuaded.
Well, we were told to meet the contact here. I recommend we go ahead and wait. I think that's probably the best bet.
Okay.
Lucky kind of looks to the breeze as those leaves leave his hand, and he says, he will wait.
In this case, I'll wait too. But maybe we should try to get a view from atop the trees and see if we can see our friend or the dragon or anything that we cannot see being surrounded by trees and swamp and everything. So I'll cast Fly, and I'll just go up in the air and try to see anything interesting, anything that could give us a clue to what to do or what to expect.
Sure. You fly up. You probably go up about 50 feet, beyond where the treetops are,
Yep.
and you notice that there is a rather open area in the center of the wood, probably a solid, 3 or 4 hour walk in west into the area, but it's an area where most of the trees look like they have no foliage at all. It's just a very probably you struggle with size because you're so far away, but you do notice that it is a very significant area, and you can barely make out that it looks like there's some stone, either pillars or buildings or something in that area, but it's getting too dark, and that green tinge that is throughout the forest is just really stopping you from seeing it really well. But you can tell it's probably about half a day's walk. And behind you, it's nothing but pretty much open grassland all the way back. You can't see the village, obviously, but back towards the village is nothing but just rolling hills and grassland. And that's what you see as far as the eye can see on that way.
Okay. Well, I informed them about those informations, and I guess we'll just wait it out.
Okay. So, yeah, you guys pretty much camp out for the night. I'll assume that you're put up a watch or something like that. The night really goes without any incident, though. The only thing you hear just in the distance throughout the night, occasionally you'll hear a crack of a twig or just something, but it's very distant and it just kind of echoes throughout the forest. But there's no other sound except the wind coming through the trees, and the rest is absolute silence. So that eerie silence does continue. And but except for that, your evening goes without incident. And everybody's rested. If you casted anything, you have all that back. But the next morning, you wake up to your fire out, to the sun barely coming up over the trees. The only thing you see is just little tendrils of smoke coming up from your fire. It's a little bit of a chill in the air. But one thing that you notice this morning that wasn't there last night is the stench of rotting meat. It's not really strong, but it's obviously coming from within the forest. You don't know where, but it's definitely very difficult to concentrate on anything else. It just smells completely rotten, as if you left something out in the sun for a week.
I told you guys to let me do the cooking.
Well, I didn't touch anything, so my cooking isn't at fault here. Can I do maybe? I'll try to figure out from which direction the smell comes from, if it's possible.
Yeah, the only thing that, I mean, everyone notices it's coming from the forest. It's coming from deeper within the forest. You don't know where, you just know that way, which is deeper into the forest.
Okay. Well, do you guys wanna go in the forest and see what's smelling this bad?
Let's go. I'm ready.
Hopefully, it's already a dead dragon, and but I hope it isn't anything too bad. But
I don't think the ram god would lead me to a dead prey.
yeah, we
One
wouldn't
cannot be that lucky.
Yeah.
have. Yeah. Oh.
He'll grab his helm, which is fashioned out of a dinosaur's head, some sort of predatory creature, and he puts it on and he pulls the jaw down so you can see his face through it. With a nice little thunk, you hear him as he starts walking, and it's this rhythmic, every other step, just a little like thunk. You guys haven't been with him long enough, but if you had to venture a guess, that's probably his Copper Jackal bite. And Lucky will just start going into the forest, whether or not you're coming or not.
I'll come. So I too will enter the forest.
Silverest stands up, and as you guys enter into the forest, he kind of glides off to the side and disappears between the shadows of the trees. Obviously still following with you, but hard to see.
Let's go.
Okay. You guys, is there any particular direction you want to go? Pretty much, if you're facing west, you could go anywhere from, northwest to southwest or straight west. It's up to you. You can just go dead center or any other way that you want. You want to go any in particular way or just in?
I think Lucky is going to go in almost feral, like following his nose. Like he'll walk and take a couple steps and breathe kind of deep, and then like turn a little, breathe deep that direction, and he's just going to kind of blindly follow the scent. It'll take him forever unless you guys do something about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something. I mean, the it's the best clue we have yet, so we're just gonna follow our nose and see what we end up finding.
Now, as you go, it's pretty obvious that those small footprints have come through this way as well. They look a little bit heavier now, like maybe they're more fresh, or maybe they're carrying something. But the size, you probably see 2 or 3 sets of prints, but they're just very small boots. But you see it leading, again, just directly west, deeper into the forest.
So we're still gonna follow it.
You're saying that the footsteps are headed the same direction as the smell that we've got, just so that I'm hearing
Correct.
that right?
Yeah, roughly.
It's all in the same direction mainly. But as you go, you see that these small footprints suddenly stop about 50 yards further. And they don't stop at a river, they don't stop at a tree, they just stop in the middle of an open area. And there is nothing to see beyond that area. It's just a small clearing, maybe 6 or 7 yards across, but it looks like the boot prints stop dead center in the middle of it.
Do we see any sign of combat violence, like broken branches, burned, anything scorched, or whatever we can find that could help us get a better insight of the situation?
Well, you don't really see anything scorched or burned. You see a lot of broken trees. You see a lot of dead trees. It's very difficult to see very far in. You probably see 50 yards in front of you, but you still have that green hint, that green mist that seems to hang over this area, no matter what. but you see that these are broken, but you really can't tell if it's something big broke them or they just died and fell over. You just know that it's not a very healthy forest.
Yeah. You guys got any idea what to do? I mean, unless we find the origin of the stench, we're pretty much right where we started. I mean, we need to get some results. Yeah.
I'll make a survival check using my tracking to see if I can figure out where the stench is coming from, and possibly why the tracks would have ended right there. You know, checking the air, seeing if something may have taken flight, if the ground is disturbed, something of that nature. So
I'd like to do the same thing if possible.
Okay.
And I got 5 + 5, 10.
Okay. What about you, Bill?
20, not natural.
Okay. So, tell me this, guys. In relation to that opening, where are you guys standing right now? Who is where? Like Adam, where would Puck be right now?
I guess I would be, near the trees, like one of the dead trees, just looking at it, trying to figure out what's happening. So anything near a tree, maybe just a few meters from the rest of the group, maybe just because of my check. Maybe I just got a little too far, something like that.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
Lucky's going to be kind of walking around because he hasn't really paid much attention to the footprints. As everybody's kind of stopped here, he's just going to kind of walk past them in one direction, smell, and then he's going to turn around and try a different direction, trying to determine which one smells like the best way to go.
Okay. What about?
Keep in mind, he has no scent. This is completely arbitrary and not very helpful at all.
That's fine. What about Silvaris?
He was checking the area where the footprints had stopped. He came up out of stealth and kind of wandered around that spot in kind of a 360, checking the area. And he's also looking for like a not fallen tree, a tree that he could get for a little higher vantage point.
Okay. And what about Marpaz?
Nala would try to see if she can keep an eye on Puck and Lucky at the same time, watching and keeping an eye on both of them, mostly.
As you're watching Lucky and Puck, and Silvaris is walking to the center of this clearing and kind of walking around these footprints that mysteriously stop. He is going to notice out of the corner of his eye something white coming at him. He doesn't really know what it is. It's just the reaction, but he just turns to the side ever so slightly, and you see on the ground just a wad of webbing land next to you. Now, you weren't paying attention, so you do not know where this came from.
Okay, well, I can't be surprised, but I do. That is in and of itself odd. It's not something that I would have anticipated. I will drop and roll away from the area that was just attacked, because obviously he was aiming at me, and I don't want to be in the same spot in case the next shot doesn't miss. And I'll go into full defensive mode. My longbow comes out. I draw an arrow out. And I'm scanning the area that it may have come from.
Okay, now you guys really don't know what's going on, the other three, because you all were kind of doing your own thing. But you do notice, as you guys are seasoned veterans, you do notice what Silvaris is doing, and you all you all are now paying attention, basically, to what's going on. Is there anything that any of you would like to do at this point?
I guess I'll ready my cane, which is my arcane focus, and cast Mage Armor on myself, preparing for anything that could happen, probably combat. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. What about Lucky?
Lucky's going to release the latch on his pack, dropping it behind him with a nice crisp thud, and he's going to wheel around a shield. You can tell he's going for a pick at his side, but he just doesn't have the time to do it before somebody else reacts.
Okay. And Marpos?
Nala will say a prayer in his own language and cast the spell Aid to her, Lucky, and Puck. So at level 3. So Puck, me, and Lucky got plus 10 8 points for 8 hours. So our maximum HP is increased, and our current HP too. So I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in your notes, but we are at plus 10 HP right now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry. As you guys are looking around, as you guys are really obviously very much paying attention, Sylvaris notices about 20 yards away just a very small bit of movement from not the very top of the trees, but right where the branches begin. And you just notice a little movement. You don't know exactly what it is, but you do notice movement over there. And as you notice that one, you notice another arrow from another direction pass right by your shoulder. It barely misses you, but it does miss.
I would have noted the direction the arrow came from, being an archer myself, and I will attempt to spin and find an area of some cover where I can get down and prepare a shot of my own.
Okay. 1 second here. Hey, Bill, give me a perception check, please.
My passive perception's not high enough for you? Hold on a sec.
I want to roll. You're distracted. Don't give me lip.
Oh, no lip, sir. No.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Looking at bonus. That is a 14.
Actually, that's enough to see it. That movement that you were talking about, you saw again. And again, 20, 25 yards away, you see a giant hairy spider walking down the backside of the tree. You can only see its legs coming down, but it's probably about 30 feet from the ground, and it is climbing down the tree. But it's on the backside, so all you see is the edges coming down.
So would you say that the spider had 3/4 cover?
Yes, I would say probably 3/4, but you can take a shot.
I was going to say I can ignore that.
Thanks to sharpshooter, yeah.
I took the sharpshooter feat. So. And that's a 24 with bonuses.
Okay, that hits for sure.
And that goes to... Ooh, rolled it. That is 15 points of damage.
Okay. So you see this thing climbing down, and just because of your just amazing eyesight and ability, you shoot this thing right in its front kind of claw elbow area, and it actually falls down. And as it falls, you notice that that on its back is a very lightly armored goblin holding a short bow. And gentlemen, I need you to roll for initiative.
All right. Over the red light.
Combat, baby.
All right. This is great.
And just put it in chat, please, guys.
Oh, just in chat. Okay.
Okay. I just need one from Marpause, and we're good. All right. So we are going to go. We are going Sylvaris, Lucky, the Spider, Marpause, and Puck. So Sylvaris, you go. What would you like to do?
I would like to remember to unmute my microphone. And then I would like to, I'm going to fire again, this time at the rider, not the... and that will be... That'll be an 11. Does an 11 hit? I don't think so.
No, an 11 doesn't hit. Because the spider is getting up and it's kind of being very awkward, you just really can't aim it well, and it barely misses him, but it does just fly past him. But he does now know that you're there. Chris.
Okay. So Lucky is going to reach down for that war pick, and he's going to go after this spider that's now it's prone, correct?
It's just getting up. It is
Okay.
not prone right now.
Okay. Still, he's going to try and press the advantage and go in for an assault against the spider itself. Forget the rider.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So let me just double check this real quick here. Okay, so the first attack is going to be a 12.
That will miss.
Okay, and the second is a 17.
That hits.
Okay, and that will be 11 points of damage as the war pick kind of buries itself into one of the carapace pieces, kind of like burrowing past the chitinous armor that the spider wields.
This thing's obviously hurting. Not only from the arrow, it's kind of stumbling a bit, but just as it got back to his feet, you came over this pick and just laid into him. So he's not going yet, but he's definitely stumbling. But as you do that with the goblin sitting on top, actually notices obviously what you're doing, gets out of his saddle and jumps towards you, just with a dagger in his hand. Natural 20. And he is going to do.
I'd like to use a luck point and have him re-roll that.
All right.
You know, I've never actually had somebody ask that, Chris.
It's the lucky feat. I get 3 of them per long rest.
I know. Well, he's still got an 18, brother.
I'm okay with it, so long as it's not a crit.
So yeah, he comes up and he just kind of jumps in. You know, obviously he's just scared and just wants this over, and just sees this guy with a dinosaur head coming at him, and he does it. It's not a very good hit, but the dagger just goes into your shoulder, and he just kind of falls to the ground, and the dagger just kind of sits there, but it isn't in very deep.
Okay.
You're going to take 3 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
It is Marpause's turn.
So they are not too far from me to just move in.
Probably 25 feet.
Okay. We'll just brace my great sword ready to impact, and I will charge the goblin and the spider. Just attacking the spider with my. I will charge, in fact, the goblin. The goblin, I will try to slice him in half with my great sword. So A 13 is not enough, right?
13 barely misses, but it does miss.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay. So again, you just swing for him. You just try to chop him in half with all your might, and he's so agile. These little goblins, and you just barely missed him. All right, Adam.
Yeah. So my Eldritch Blast, being able to hit from 300 feet, I'll just stay near my dead tree and point him, send 2 blasts. I'm just gonna roll twice. So I've got 18 and 26. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Who are you attacking? The
The
goblin.
goblin. Sorry.
Okay. Those will both hit.
Yeah. Okay.
Roll for damage.
Yep. So both will do a total of 11 damage.
Okay. So describe what this looks like when you shoot these Eldritch blasts at this goblin as he just gets blown apart and dies.
Oh.
Describe what it looks like.
So seeing my friend Lucky being stabbed, I'll just do this and point him, and 2 blasts of dark magic will just pierce him right through the heart, and he'll just fall over inert, dead.
Okay. We are back around to Silvaris, but one quick thing here. You notice from that other direction, Silvaris, that another wad of webbing has barely missed you, and that came from directly behind you.
Okay, I changed targets real quick, and I'll go ahead and fire it at. Do I see the new target from behind me?
At this point, you realize this is the second one that it's coming from, and you saw that movement prior. So you see the spider climbing down again.
All right, I'm going to nail it. That's 21 for the shot, and that is 13 points of damage.
Okay, and where do you imagine this one got hit as it was climbing down?
Because of the build of a spider, I imagine that I caught the side of its thorax as it was coming off the bulbous part of the rear end. I just caught him in the end of it.
Okay, and the same thing. As the arrow sinks in the last 5 or 10 feet, the spider just kind of jumps down and just looks towards the group. But next is Chris.
Okay. The spider itself is still there, but it's wounded. So Lucky's going to turn around and he's going to bash his shield, and he's going to yell at it in his native tongue, which is kind of a lost tribe's tongue from the jungles of Saman. And he's basically just trying to scare it off with an intimidation check because he doesn't want to take the creature's life unless he has to.
Okay, give me an intimidation roll.
Mm-hmm. That is going to be a, let's see. A 18.
You know, this thing is down to 2 hit points, so I'm going to say that you're successful. And it just looks at you. Just you can see it kind of with its multiple eyes on the front, kind of moving up and down. And because he still has that arrow in one of his leg notches, he just kind of turns around and stumbles away as quickly as he can, probably at half his normal speed. But he doesn't want to have anything to do with you.
Okay. Look, he's gonna seem kind of confident in himself, and he's gonna like quickly nod to the beast, like recognizing each other, and he's gonna just turn on his heel to face the other threat.
Now, right before that, as the spider turns from you and starts going away quickly, you do notice a large cocoon about the size of a child, kind of attached to the bottom of its body, just almost like it's strapped there around, and you see it just kind of going back and forth as the spider walks away.
Crud, I'm gonna have to do something about that. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna start heading that way then. I guess I have to do something about this.
Well, I'll give you another attack if you'd like, or some other action, because all you did was yell at him.
Well, what I was going to do is intimidation as my action, and then I'm going to use my move action to follow him now that I've learned this. So
Okay.
That'll be it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. That other spider that's coming down is going to shoot one more web towards Puck.
Okay.
And that is actually going to hit. You're going to be basically restrained as the webbing hits you and comes around, and you're just kind of standing there in not really a cocoon, but you're just basically your arms are stuck to you. You can still walk, but you're restrained.
Okay.
Can I get a Actually, we'll go from there. Next is Marpause.
So Nala can see that Puck is hit by that spider web. Yeah. Okay. In that case, she sees that Lucky is going to the other spider. I don't. Silveras is on his way, and we'll just try to help Puck freeing himself from that. So I will come back to Puck and try to slash the cocoon if it's the web if it's possible with my greatsword.
Marpause, give me a strength check.
Okay. Let double check. Strength. Okay.
Yep.
Gonna roll +4. 11.
Yeah, you go with your sword, and it's just not a good angle. It doesn't give when you hit. It almost kind of absorbs it, and it does not cut as you go down. He is still restrained.
Okay.
Next is Puck. If you want to try to break this web, you can give me a strength check.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be that good at this. Is there by any chance the possibility that I could Misty Step out of the web?
Interesting. Yeah. If I think that's absolutely possible. Yeah.
In this case, I'll cast Misty Step and just move away to a more favorable position, and then I'll just shake off a little remaining webbing, and say, well, that was uncomfortable. Now, time for payback. I'll aim at the spider and just cast my good old Eldritch Blast.
Okay. Go ahead. Roll for a hit.
Yeah. So 27 and 24.
They both hit. Roll me damage.
Yeah. So 10 and 13 damage. So 23 damage.
Okay. Again, this thing gets obliterated just with this force. These two, basically force bombs just going at him, and it basically gets hit and just flips over end over end. Falls on its back, and his legs just crawl in to himself, just like they do when they die. But as you see that, there is that you see just for a moment another arrow as it sinks into your chest for 4 points of damage.
4 points? Okay. So
Piercing damage.
Yeah.
You all notice at this point that there's another goblin, and he's standing by himself near where that other spider was. The only thing odd about this, he just seems to be in basically a pair of, like, it's kind of like a loincloth. He just has that on, nothing else. But you notice that on his chest, he has a shimmering black scale. You don't know, it's too far away for you to know for sure, but it's just one black shimmering scale kind of held on with some rope, and he's just aiming his bow at you guys. It's Silvaris's turn.
Okay, the spider that just went down did not have another goblin rider on it, did he? Okay, so the only target we've got is the guy with the scale right now. Then I will aim at him and loose an arrow.
Okay.
And I'm going to purposely take a -5 penalty to the shot so that I can add an additional 10 to the damage.
Okay.
So does a 19 hit him?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So then I get +10 to the damage of. See that roll?
Bill, just tell me how you kill him. With that +10, he's gone. So what does it look like when you just one-shot this guy?
It was 23 points of damage from an arrow that struck him square in the throat, and it goes through the front of his throat and tears the back of his neck out with the arrows poking out, little piece of flesh hanging off the back of his neck.
That's badass, dude. All right, so that is the last thing. That is the last thing here, except you still have one fleeing spider that Chris is following behind.
How far away is Chris and the spider from where we are now? How far have they gotten? They've had like 2 rounds, I think.
Probably 45 feet from where you are now.
The spider, did they actually have any sort of saddle on this thing, or is it just they were riding it bareback and hope for the best?
They were just riding it bareback, hoping for the best. Just happened to be working together for some reason.
Okay. Given that it's probably a domesticated creature, I'm going to try and change my tactics. I'm going to try and do animal handling to try and calm it back down and get it to stop. Hopefully I can remove this sack from it without having to kill it. That's kind of Lucky's plan here.
Okay, give me a roll.
Destroying everything on my desk.
I guess animal handling would be it. I really wouldn't consider an animal, but I'll go with it.
I was going to say there's not really vermin handling.
Yeah.
So that is a 27.
Okay. You walk in front of it. You get a posture that is, as best you can, non-threatening. It's the same tactic you used when you lulled this dinosaur that you use now as a helmet into a false sense of security before you slayed it. It basically just pauses, and as I said, as you're in front of it and just looks at you. What would you like to do then?
Okay. I'm going to kind of take my time with it, but eventually the plan is to take out a dagger and just cut the sack from the creature, and then give it a quick smack to kind of urge it to keep going.
All right. Give me just a straight wisdom roll, Chris.
Okay. An 8.
Proficiency. As you walk a little bit closer, it's still a little bit hesitant. It kind of shrinks back just a little bit, keeping the same amount of distance.
Okay. I'll give it the space it needs, and I'll slowly work towards it. As time progresses, see if I can take another step forward, but keep maintaining the confident I'm not going to hurt you posture.
Okay. Now, at this point, you notice that the cocoon, whatever it is starting to kind of wriggle, and you hear kind of muffled sounds Don't really know what it is, but you see that it's wiggling quite a bit.
Okay.
What would the rest of you like to do while he's trying to lull this thing into submission here?
Yeah, as you approach, it's kind of like the Jurassic Park raptor scene where I'm just like got my hands out.
Or for those of us that are older, remembering all the way back to Crocodile Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
You're not that much older than me, bro.
Oh, you'd be surprised. I've knocked another arrow and have walked over towards where he is, but I'm keeping my distance, and I'm actually using the foliage and the drop and the down trees around the area to almost take cover and stealth again, so that I'm out of sight for whatever does come out of this cocoon. But I'm going to go ahead and allow Lucky to. I've worked with Lucky before, and I'm going to go ahead and allow him to use his skills at this point, trusting in him. But if things turn for the worse, I'm prepared to help him out.
Okay. What are Puck and Marpaz going to be doing?
Well, if I see that Lucky is handling it in an orderly fashion, I'm just gonna let it handle it. But so I'm going to be ready to support in case something happens. But it's his call to not kill the spider after all.
Okay. What about Marpaz?
Just keeping watch on what's happening, and I'm confident that Lucky can handle himself. So just keeping watch, and yeah, that's what I'll do.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe something then. I would go to the. Sorry to interrupt. I would go to the goblin and see what was this black scale during that time. As much as possible. But
Now, refresh my memory. Puck's dragon that he was the expert in was what type?
black dragon.
Okay. Then he notices that this is an older scale. Looks like it's been off the dragon for quite a while, but he knows, because he is so familiar with this particular type of dragon, that it is from a young adult black dragon, and that this was probably shed long ago, but it is still very helpful as far as armor, especially against any piercing. You would know that it's very useful, but it's just a single scale roped onto his chest.
Good. Thanks.
And as you're doing this, Chris, you notice just how the spider is holding itself. It looks a little bit less tense. And at this point, you can try to get the cocoon either off or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna move in to try and remove the cocoon, and then, like I said, I'm gonna kind of push him along the way of running away after that's done.
Okay, I'm just going to say that you do succeed. You basically just grab it, and as you grab it, it runs away. So the cocoon just kind of falls, on the ground, and as it falls, you hear, "Oh!" And again, all the wiggling starts, and you still hear that muffled kind of a voice.
I'm going to kind of carefully, with my dagger, just kind of pull up layers and chop the layers to eventually make a hole big enough to start opening this thing without necessarily threatening whatever's alive inside there.
Okay. Well, as you do, slowly and carefully, you basically see an older, dirty, bloody, obviously he's been through the ringer, dwarf. He's really kind of incoherent, kind of looking back and forth, kind of who, what, where, what happened. But this guy just looks like he is beat up, and probably barely hanging on at this point.
Lucky is going to attempt to answer the questions as quick as he can, but the questions are coming really fast. So it's like he's like, "Who are you?" And then as Lucky goes, he is Lucky. The dwarf turns around with, "Where am I?" He's in the wood. "What am I doing here?" That kind of nonsense. Like it's not a very coherent conversation, and Lucky is not the best with common anyways.
So are you going to cut it so he's completely out of it, or are you just going to leave a part of him out, or how do you want to do the cutting?
No, I'm gonna cut him completely out.
Okay.
We don't know him to be a threat at this point, so I don't see a reason not to.
Yeah, as you do that, you notice very old and kind of tattered clothing. Just just a basic tunic, some leather pants and boots, scratch marks, areas where it was torn, kind of blood stained all over the tunic. He kind of looks around and he looks he looks at you guys and seems okay, but he turns and he can still see that spider. And as he does that, he gets to his feet as quickly as possible, stumbles, and runs headfirst into a tree stump. And he just stops. He's fallen on his stomach, stops, and is just incoherent at this point.
I suppose I'll join Lucky and try to calm the person. Maybe just try to reassure him. So if possible, I'll just go there and say, be careful there, man. Just wait. I know you're stressed out, but just air us out. Just sit on that stump and take a breath or two or three, and just tell us what's happening and why you were in a cocoon. So, if possible, I'll do if I can, I'll do a persuasion check to calm him.
Okay. I don't think you need to. He doesn't want to be all upset. I think that he's very out of breath and very surprised and very confused. But he's okay. He realizes once he surveys the area that you guys were there to help him, and he looks at all of you and says, I don't know what happened. I was here and then I don't know. Who are you?
I'm Puck, and we're Copper Jackals. We're here to help.
What the hell's a Copper Jackal? He says, kind of looking at you confused.
Let's just say we're here to help. Where were you before you were in this cocoon?
Where was I? I was. I don't know. I was. Who are you?
I'm Puck.
From my place in hiding, Drake, I'd like to use my cantrip of message, and I point at Nala, and I cast the whispering. Nala hears in her head the silent whisper that only she can hear that says, "Can you heal this one? He may be poisoned."
And Nala would look at you and not answering, but saying out loud anyway, I can heal. Maybe we'll see. So I will just advance toward the dwarf, the big 7 feet tall Goliath, and clutching our holy symbol in her neck and saying, "Do you need help?" And I'm just ready to cast Cure Wound if he agrees.
He looks at you and his eyes get as big as hubcaps, and he kind of looks at all of you and says, "As big as that one is, I might be better off with the spiders." But he hesitantly just kind of nods as he's taking it all in, and he sees that you're probably not going to hurt him, otherwise you already would, and he will allow you to get closer.
In that case, I would just cast a Cure Wound spell, level 1. So it will be 6 of healing on him. So.
Okay.
we say, may the Ram God bless your way.
Okay. He obviously, you see some of his more superficial wounds heal up. He's obviously still really hurt, but you can see him kind of take a breath, and he looks at everybody and he says, I'm Grick. My name's Grick. I don't know where I was, but I'm here, and you need to get me to the vicar. Get me to the vicar. And
The vicar?
He just keeps
Who's the
saying,
vicar?
get me to the vicar.
Who's the vicar and where is he?
You notice him kind of, he's still really woozy, he's still really hurt, and he's kind of groggy sitting back on this stump that he was sitting on. And he just keeps shaking his head, and he points but behind you guys out of the wood. You do recognize that he's pointing back to the village that you guys are aware of. And he just continually says, get me to the vicar. You need to take me to the vicar. And as he does that, he just kind of slumps down as if this whole experience was just too much for him, and he just gets overwhelmed and faints. And he is unconscious on the ground in front of all of you.
I think we should go to the village. At least somebody is going to be able to take care of him, and maybe this vicar is going to help us figure out what's happening here, and maybe where is our friend. What do you say?
He does not understand. Vicar?
What is a vicar?
I don't know either, but
Is it a fancy word for chief, leader, warrior?
After Silveress is sure that the dwarf is out, he comes out of his hiding spot. As he walks up, vicar is the type of priest. When I was a city guard, I knew this.
Oh,
We should take him to that village and see if the priest there can help him as well.
in that case, Nala would take the dwarf and take him on her right shoulders and go sheath our great sword too and sing, "Where is the village now?"
Being a member of the Spine of the Old Vale, one with nature allows me to figure out which way is north and whatever. So I'll just point the direction to the village, having seen it from the air a day ago, if you allow me. And I would point out to the village so we could proceed.
Yeah, all of you are going to be relatively familiar with the general direction of the village. It's very hard to miss because it's in just hills and open grasslands.
Yeah.
It's not really hard to find once you're out of the forest. Getting out of the forest would just take you an hour or two, and probably another half a day to get to that village. But all of you are familiar with the direction. You wouldn't have any trouble getting back there, direction-wise.
You guys want to look a little more in the surroundings, just to make sure we don't miss anything?
Actually, I was going to recommend that we backtrack the dwarf's tracks from where he left the ground back there on the path and see if perhaps he was alone or not. Maybe he had another group with. He seems a little confused. But then from there, I think we should head directly to the village.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Also, I'll show the dragon scale I took out a few minutes ago, and give the others the information you gave me when I looked it up. So, specifying that it was a scale from that was taken from the dragon a long time ago. So, and at the time it was a young adult. So, the dragon whose the scale come from might be older and more dangerous now. So it could help us figure out what's endangering this region.
Okay, Chris, what would Lucky be doing?
So Lucky's kind of stepped back from the group, and he's picked up kind of a longer stick, and he's breaking it into small sections, and he's gathering up some reeds, and he's basically making another man-shaped effigy again. Once he's all done with it, he'll kind of look at it, dissatisfied, pull the head off, and he'll break the neck a little bit to make it a little shorter, and then he puts the head back on, seems more satisfied with it, and he places it with the unconscious dwarf, and he just says, "Protection." And after that, he'll actually call forth his renowned 2 ability, Soul Rider, and his copper leg will start to glow, and you can see this tribal pattern come through his pant leg. It'll hit the ground, starting from his hip, basically to his foot, then spreading out to the ground. The light will emit kind of a copper like mist, and from that mist will congeal and form a Petrodon with a copper and laden saddle, and Lucky will climb on top and pull the lance from the side and reset his pick. He says to the group, he will scout ahead, and he'll take flight and start going out of the forest. He is an outlander, so he's good with locations and things like that, so he'll find the most direct way that he can remember to get out of the forest.
Okay.
Buck is just going to be impressive. Let's just follow him then.
And what do you guys plan on doing with the dwarf that's unconscious?
Yeah, like I said, Nara would just take the dwarf and put him on her shoulder and trying to make sure once in a while he's not dead, and checking if he's okay. And
okay. That's fine. Did you
Yeah.
guys want to do anything? You had searched that one goblin, and you found the scale. You're taking that scale, correct?
Yeah, I'm taking it.
Okay. The only other thing you see, he has a small dagger as well as just a regular short bow. Nothing crazy, but he does have those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Silveress will also attempt to recover whatever arrows he can that match the correct length for his longbow, and try to replenish his quiver before we head out. And as he's doing that, listening to what Puck was saying about the scale, he looks back over his shoulder at the scale and he says, "Huh, protection from piercing, huh? Irony." And then he turns and goes around looking for more arrows.
Yeah, I guess it will take them more than one scale in the middle of the chest to protect them from your arrows.
Exactly. Right. So the one thing that you do notice that Silvaris does notice, being a rogue and being more adept with poisons and things like that, you do notice that from these spiders that you might be able to barter or get a little bit of cash for the fangs that contain the venom from these spiders. So if you wanted to just rip those off, you could, but just because of your class, you would know that.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to make a survival check to see if I can remove both the fangs, and if there's like the little venom glands or sacs that are inside, see if I can get those without damaging myself or them too much.
Is there any way I can assist him so he doesn't hurt himself or anything? So we can't hear you, Drake.
Sorry. No, I think for this one, he's pretty adept. You wouldn't know what was going on. I think he needs to do it solo.
It's okay.
Just give me a straight roll. Just give me a straight roll, Dex.
Okay, I rolled a 17 on survival. If you're going to change that to a dex, that becomes a 19.
Okay, then we're good. You successfully do it. You don't have any trouble, and you just keep those 4 fangs with their glands intact, and you just put them in your pouch or in your backpack. And from there, you guys going to head out of the forest?
Yep.
Chris, actually, I was going to take a break in about 10 minutes. Cool. All right. So As you guys make your way out, really, again, the forest is extremely quiet. It's really there's no birds, there's no bugs. It's very odd to you. Anyone who's been in a forest notice this isn't how that happens. But you do make it out, and you set your direction east, following in the distance. You do see Chris flying on this spectral pteranodon. All of you amazed at what you see because you've never seen one of the Blood Riders of Lightfall. You've only heard of them. And a few hours later, you guys come to the crest of a hill, and you do notice a smoke rising from this village that you know to be Edgewood, excuse me, and it's not anything disastrous or anything like that, just regular cooking fires and things like that. But just the wind is just bringing it to you as it fills up your nostrils. And you stand on the edge of this village. It's not walled in. It's just stone and wood, some huts. You estimate maybe 30 or 40 buildings, medium size. But you do notice that on this particular side, that it looks to be several buildings have been destroyed. It almost looks like half of them were melted. Not so much burned, but melted. And Puck, being that he's very familiar with black dragons, knows that this is from the breath weapon of a black dragon. That there's nothing else in Dragon Grin that can do that. So you guys said you're coming in from the eastern edge of this town. What would you like to do?
Well, being we're entering the village, right?
Yes.
Okay. Being a noble, I'll use my position of privilege feature to try to get an audience with the vicar. It was. So I'll just try to get in touch with someone and ask them if there's any possibility to, if they know any vicar around here. We've got someone that needs help. So that would be my priority to get this good dwarf some healing.
And as you guys enter the town, Grick does kind of momentarily wake up and realize what he's doing, and he just looks around and says, "To the vicar!" And he points kind of in a north, from where you guys are standing, kind of a 3 o'clock, kind of up and to the right. And just, again, after that, just stays quiet. While Puck is trying to figure out where the vicar is, what the other three of you like to do?
Because the dwarf is on her shoulder, that I would say, bah, we need to go there now. Come with me. And not caring if anyone follow her, and trying to see if she can wake the dwarf up with little slaps in the face, but she had very big hands, so
gentle Goliath slaps.
What would Lucky be doing, Chris?
Lucky's going to touch down outside of the city, not wanting to have them get into an uproar of this creature that they've probably never seen before. And once he dismounts, he'll slide the lance back into its holster, and he'll tap his foot twice, and the being will just kind of disappear into this copper mist. Lucky will kind of look around, and he'll look to the sky once more, and then he'll walk towards the group. And he'll say, "Vicar." Almost confused at the word. He doesn't really understand what it means.
Okay. What about Silvaris?
Silvaris will, as he's entering the village area, he seems to be a bit more. I mean, he knows where everybody's headed, but he seems to be a bit more distracted. He's keeping his eyes around the sides of him, and I'm kind of looking at whatever markings or signs of any kind that are in the village area. If there's a sign on the tavern, if there's a sign on the side of the church, anything where I might see thieves' cant, the hidden language that would tell me there is a guild in this village area. I don't know exactly how large the town is, but I'm looking about. I'm also looking to see if any of the people in there notice anything, and my hands seem distractedly moving as if I'm not really paying attention to what they're doing, but they are thieves canting to anyone who knows the language that I'm looking for a guild.
Okay. Now, you had been holding the dwarf on your shoulder, correct? Matt?
Yeah, I am.
And you just said you were just going to walk in the direction he pointed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are you guys all going to be following him as you're doing your own stuff? Yeah? Puck?
Yes, I plan on I'm following along. I just seem distracted. I'm also keeping an eye on our back and watching the area.
Okay. Well, you guys notice that this is a pretty, even though it's probably about midday, bright, clear outside. You notice it's a pretty busy city. You don't see any industry or anything around here, but you see kind of a hodgepodge of, you see some dwarves, you see some humans, you see some half orcs, you see some other kind of races that you're not that familiar with. You do not see anyone as large as Marpause here, but you just notice that everyone seems to be getting along just fine, no issues. Everyone's in the hustle and bustle of everything. You get to the town center, and this looks like to be a trade area. You see one or two forges. You see some people selling meat and fruit and bread. Some people are trying to sell jewelry or other things like that. But you just kind of meander there, and as Puck starts asking around, every time he asked about the vicar, everyone points him in the same direction, which is where Grick had wanted you to go. But the only thing in that direction, all you see is what looks to be an old, broken down church. It's not fallen down or anything, but it just looks unkept. And you're looking at the back side of it. The entrance would be on the other side, but everyone is pointing you to that direction.
Good. So we'll head up to the church.
Okay. Is that everybody gonna do that together?
Yeah.
All right. On that note, guys, let's take 5-minute break for get a drink, go to the bathroom, and we will pick up going towards the church here in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Why am I always the first person back?
I was actually killing it at the same time you were.
Yeah.
No problem. I don't like going really, really long without it because I gotta pee. Too much beer.
It's actually partially what I went for because I don't have anything else cold right now, and it seems like a good idea. Now, what I'm saying is my AC is acting up again. My landlord just like does temporary fixes on it. He doesn't actually get it fixed for us.
Right.
So it's like 80 degrees in my house right now. It's pretty.
Well,
pretty
it was hot in Houston today, man. It was like 94. I went down to Texas City to the dike just to go to the beach, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, I'm a little red today. And yeah, dude, it was hot. It was humid today with those storms coming through. But you know, I mean, you're down a little bit south of me. Up in Spring, usually has a little bit of a breeze, but down there, ugh.
I was gonna say the thing I'm looking forward to is tomorrow for work. I got to go out to Beaumont, which the weather's gonna be a lot better out there. So at least for a couple hours, I'll get a little break.
Yeah, Adam, Chris, Bill, and I all live within 20 miles of each other.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook that you were all in the Houston area.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
We got a pretty good group of Houston people actually. I think we're up to like 4 or 5 people now that are all from the Houston area.
The problem is
doing a live game. And not only
we've discussed it, but we all have like terrible schedules.
Exactly. Chris has crazy schedules. I mean, like
if I remember it, Drake, you just got a new job, right?
Yeah.
And then I just got one too.
But my job pretty much is if I want to work 2 hours a day, I'll work 2 hours a day, and they'll still pay me. But I've been doing the same thing for 15 years, so they, you know, it's I got very lucky because I left my old job without a new one, and just got my first paycheck after like 2 months yesterday. So
I pretty much did the same thing, so I'm super happy to get those paychecks back in too.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I got small kids, man. I got a wife and small kids.
You just got a house, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. About 2 months ago, right about a week after I quit my job.
I'm close myself. I don't like the job that I'm working at. I would love to find another position somewhere, but I haven't done it yet. I need to find something before I leave this.
Yeah, well, I was just, yeah, it's besides the point, but it was just not a good spot for me, and I could make more money and not have to work as much working for another company, so see ya.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you can improve your situation, you just got to do it.
Yeah, it's just scary when you have kids and stuff, but
yeah,
anywho, all right. By the way, this is the coolest thing ever, coffee mug. I just want you guys to see that.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing ever. My wife got it for me for Christmas.
Very cool.
20 on this.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I forgot to plug before we get back into the game, if you don't mind, and that is coming up weekend, this next following weekend at Comic Palooza. I'll be running 3 games, 2 Savage World games for a group known as Brawl, and 1 D&D 5th edition homebrew game in my homebrew world of Galadria. So anybody that happens to be local or in the area of Houston at the time, if you want to swing by, none of my tables have filled completely up yet, so there is room. You guys sign up.
Cool, dude. Alrighty, so is everybody ready? Get back into this?
Yep.
Okay, so as you guys walk up to this old church, you do notice that the stained glass windows are still intact, and there does seem to be a fair amount of light coming from within it. But you're too far away to really notice much else. But that it seems to still be a usable place. Just looks really kind of dilapidated. The stone is cracked from the outside.
Okay. So I guess I'm just gonna knock on the door and try to open it.
Well, as you guys walk around to the front, you notice it looks like some old statues. You don't know of what gods or saints or whatever they are. They're pretty old and kind of covered in moss. And you see this big kind of church, archway, probably 8 or 9 feet tall, so Marpaz can actually go through without ducking. But right above it, you see a half kind of broken sign hanging down that says Vanquished Vicar Tavern. And as you come around the front, you feel Grick kind of come to life, and he obviously knows where he is, and he hops down, just kind of takes a quick glance at you guys, smiles, and makes a beeline through the door into the church.
You wanted beer.
Just like a dwarf.
I follow him in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, at that point, let's drink.
So you guys walk in, and this heavy kind of oak door, kind of creaks as you go in, and this is looks like a one-room old church. The planks on the floor, several are missing. The nails have come up a little bit. It's not very well kept. There's probably a dozen tables, just small tables around, a couple dozen chairs. Everything looks okay. It certainly doesn't look high end. And at the far end, you see Grick at the very end, the left end of the bar, already downing flagons of ale. And you have a small halfling barmaid serving him drinks at this point. This evening seems to be pretty popular. This afternoon seems to be pretty popular to have this many people in a tavern at this time of day. But people are eating, people are laughing. They're kind of, just kind of a bunch of ruckus. But there's a lot of different people in here doing a lot of different things. What would you guys like to do?
I'll go see Brick and ask him, well, Brick, do you want us to have a table, call a couple of pins, and talk? Maybe you could tell us why we are here. I expected a kind of a priest thing.
He looks at you and says, "Do I know you?"
I said, you can't be real, man. You don't remember us? We just, shoved you from the forest to here. You asked us. And I'm kind of uncomfortable with the situation now. We gotta save you from spiders.
He kind of looks at you, and he looks back at the other three, and he looks really confused. And he said, "Were you on the horse?"
No horse.
Yeah, there was a horse. I got back into town on a horse, right?
It was her.
I walk over to the table from behind him, and I reach up and I grab his mug from him, and I sniff it. What are you drinking? And I set it back on the bar.
He just smiles and kind of looks at you guys. You own the horse.
I'm not a horse.
And at this point, he's kind of I don't think he was ever really sober the entire time he was with you guys, but he's certainly getting there quickly, having downed several flagons already just in the few minutes that he's been there. But he keeps looking to Puck, and he keeps looking to Marpaz, and just, the vicar. This is the place. This is the vicar. And he asks, he says, "Don't you know the story?"
No, I don't. Tell us. I like a good story. I'll pay you another drink if you tell me this story. And I call another drink for him.
He says, "Well, it wasn't long ago when this church had a very large congregation. And the vicar in this church thought himself quite the drinker. He would womanize, he would drink, No one really said anything. But one day, probably 10 years ago, a man came in that challenged the vicar to drinking, to see who could drink more. The vicar had never been beaten before, so he sat down in the old tavern, the Groggy Goat, that used to be in the center of town, since closed. And the night began, as many nights do, with a flagon of ale in front of each of them. By the end of the night, the vicar lay dead and defeated, and the new owner of this tavern is behind the bar, and he points to the barmaid that you thought was a barmaid, and it's just this little halfling, probably 50 pounds, and that's very hard for you to believe. So as a tribute to him, he was vanquished, so she named this her bar after him as the vanquished vicar.
This is a great story, but there's a lot of people for an afternoon. Is there any special occasion? Is it like the anniversary of this tavern?
Grick kind of looks around and he nods. There is a lot of people here. It's not normally like this, but with all that dragon business, everyone's a little scared, and some ale calms the nerves, no matter what time of day it is.
And just as he says this, just getting closer, and really, I don't hide my interest. You're saying a dragon. Do you have more information? Could another pint help you with remembering all you can about this dragon?
One moment on that. What's Lucky doing when this is going on?
So Lucky is not being very productive or helpful at all. In fact, he's noticed the female halfling, and Lucky has kind of begun to strut around the bar. He's taken off the helm and made sure that he's prostrating himself in front of her, basically, and he's placed the helmet like right in front of her, and he kind of leans over and like flexes a muscle.
All right. What about Marpos? What's she doing?
Laughing, seeing Lucky doing what he's doing, and trying to find a chair to sit upon, if not sit on the floor.
And Silvaris?
And Silvaris has moved over next to the dwarf at the bar, and he sits down at the bar a little bit uncomfortable, looking around, still not finding what he'd been looking for. So he's just kind of watching the area, scanning.
Okay. Good.
Do I see Lucky swooning over the halfling?
You're really focused on the dwarf right now. You seem to be the one that's asking him questions, so
Yeah.
You're not really noticing what the other people are doing. You're just very hell-bent on getting this information.
Okay. So, my good dwarf, my good brick, about this dragon, care to tell me more? Brick. Oh, sorry.
It's fine. He just kind of, I said, the only thing I know is you. Last week, this dragon. We always heard there were dragons in Felrune Wood. We heard stories, but we haven't seen them in over a century. And all of a sudden, last week, a very large black figure came from that direction, and you see what happened to the town. I don't know why. We don't know why, but it seemed like it was almost out of control, like it was just angry. something that I haven't seen before. But I'm not a very traveled dwarf. I tend to like my ale and probably overdo it more than I should. But if you really want some information about the dragons, there's no one better than him. And he points to a figure sitting in the center of the bar at a table, kind of pale, blondish white hair, very gray, looks almost dead, kind of a gray skin, and there's a very long red cloak over the left side of his body, but he's just sitting there drinking. But he points at this figure.
Okay. Is there a stool free beside this guy?
There are stools everywhere. You could all sit there if you wanted.
Okay. Say, my good Greg, you don't mind if I go ask some question to this guy? If I let you to your beer?
Why are you asking my permission?
Okay. So I am just going to sit beside the man he pointed me to, and when I'm sit correctly, I'll just try to open a conversation. I'll say, "Hey there, man. I heard there from my good friend Grick that you could tell me more about this dragon that attacked your town. Maybe I'll sound too familiar, but I'm Puck, and I show him my hand.
He kind of turns his head to you slowly, looks at your hand, looks you up and down, and he in a low guttural voice, you kind of hear him say, "You need to have a better taste in your friends."
Well, it was a matter of speaking. I just met him a few hours ago, if you want the truth. But what I really want to know is what you have to say about this dragon, whatever my friends are.
He just kind of looks at you. He's visibly annoyed, and he just turns his gaze away from you, looks towards the wall, and just keeps drinking his ale. What are the rest of you doing at this point?
Finishing of laughing at Lucky and his adventures, Nala will go to sit at the same table that Puck is, and I will repeat the same question to the man, saying, "We need help with the Black Dragon. Can you help us?"
He looks up at you and said, "What do you have to do with that dragon? What is he to you?"
He is a prey.
They are tyrants, monsters. They need to be put down, especially when they destroy people in villages like that.
He nods. "Well, you seem to have better sense than your friend." And you notice at this point that he's significantly larger than your typical human. He's obviously human, but there's just something about him that's very odd. He's very sure of himself. He's very cocky, but for some reason he's speaking to you. And he looks at the rogue. He looks at Silvaris, and he says, "And what do you do?"
I do as I like.
Now that I will drink to.
And I take the beer that I've just ordered and go ahead and toss back a swallow as well. And I tell him, I track criminals, I track anything that brings injustice into this world, and I bring it to you.
He just nods. He said, "Good luck bringing that dragon to justice by yourself. It is my opinion you would probably end up as a puddle of goo somewhere in that forest. Be careful."
And I motion to my 3 friends and say, not by myself.
Oh, you have friends, you say. Very powerful friends you would need to bring that dragon down. And he looks over at Lucky, and he says, "It looks like this one has something else on his mind."
We all need our distractions before a good fight.
He looks at you, and when you said that, he was kind of half smiling before, and it immediately brought him back to a place of being completely serious and very much just almost angry. And he looks at Silvaris and he says, "This is not a game, my friend. This is war."
Nobody said this was a game. We ask you about the dragon because we take this seriously, and because nobody else will stand up to this threat. So we'd like you to take this seriously and answer our questions, if you would like.
There is no one more serious about destroying that dragon than I. I was ordered to take it down, and I will.
Well, you might need some friends in this endeavor.
I've never needed them before, and I have slain countless dragons.
Apparently you haven't slain this one yet.
Yeah.
And between you and I, which one carries the trophy? Show him the black dragon scale.
I pick up the dragon scale and show it to him. Does it tell you anything?
Dorn just starts smiling and starts laughing a little bit. And this, again, kind of low, guttural voice. And he said, "Well, very well done. You killed a goblin."
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I did.
And he's very much... "So, what were your orders? I know who you are. Do you not know who I am?"
Now we do. We were sent to find you and help you kill this dragon.
Yes, that's what I was told as well, but I told them I didn't need any help.
So that's why you didn't show up at our camp where we were told to meet you?
As your friend is finding out, there's more distraction in this village than out in the woods.
Well, I'm through with distraction. And with or without your help, I plan on tracking the dragon. So, being it that we have a common cause and a common enemy, rather than call it help, let's just say we both are going in the same direction, and there's strength in numbers.
That is true, and at the very least, there will be 4 to tell the story of how I vanquished, or will vanquish, this dragon. Please, having an audience would be wonderful.
And if it turns out the other way, we'll tell the story of how we vanquished the dragon, and how you died heroically when we bring your corpse back on your own shield.
That, my friend, might prove more difficult than you think. And he stands up, and as he stands up, he kicks back his chair, and he pulls the red cloak off his left side. And you see the entire left side of his body is completely made of Titan copper. emitting this glow, this soft orange glow around his left arm and his left leg up into his torso. You see the metal stretched, his skin stretched over the metal, and it's riveted in. You see bolts and rivets. You see it just looks incredibly painful. Just it almost looks like Frankenstein, like this metal was melded to his body somehow. And he said, "This is what will slay the dragon." And you see him standing probably 6.5 feet tall, just very, very large human. And the left side of him is about twice the normal size as far as his arms and his legs. He said, "With this, I don't need help."
Let's say we'll back you up then, as long as you're happy with it. I don't mind. I don't need glory. I just need to get the job done. And if it makes you happy, I'll help you. I will help you get the job done.
He looks over towards Lucky again, who's distracted, obviously. He actually has this empty flagon, and he throws it at Lucky. It just kind of doesn't hit him hard, just kind of bounces off of his back. He says, "Hey, short stuff, why don't you join us? We have things to discuss. She'll be there later."
Lucky nods, and he'll grab his helm and tucks it kind of underneath his arm, and he looks to the barmaiden, who's kind of been avoiding him for the most part during this whole time because he's just crude barbarian halfling basically, and he declares to her, he is lucky. He would slay a dragon, but only to sit at her table for a meal. Her beauty will empower his strikes, all for her. And he'll place his helm on, pull down the mouthpiece again, and immediately turn and walk out.
Good luck with that.
That's awesome, dude. Take a point of inspiration for that.
Okay.
So he sits back down now that everyone seems to have a good look. And you all now realize that the stories that you've heard about Dorn Drakeslayer being half man, half golem are accurate. And he just looks at all of you and says, "How many of you have actually slain a dragon?"
I helped when I was younger, but it was people like you, other Copper Jackals, that did the job, really. I was saved. I'm just trying to make up for it and do my part. So I guess maybe a little.
So you've never actually slain a dragon?
I encountered one, though.
You encountered one. Well.
And I survived. It's something.
Well, the first one that I encountered, let's just say, and he looks down at his arm and his leg, that I've never been quite the same since.
And Silverest leans forward in his chair, and he sets his beer down on the table, and he looks crosses his hands in front of him, and looks across at the guy, and he says, "Well, I think everyone at this table has heard the words 'without compromise' several times. So let's not talk about what we've done in our past, but more what we plan to do now."
I simply need to know what I'm working with, Elf.
You're working with a man of action, not a man of word.
Correct. But if I am fighting next to you, I need to know how much I need to watch your back. So tell me of your adventures. Tell me of the dragons that you've slain, or go home.
What about you give us a chance to make up a name for ourselves? to make you proud or whatever you need us to do.
I care not for pride. This is about killing every dragon.
When I took my vows, I took them seriously. And when I spoke with Typhon, I swore to kill dragons. And that's what I intend to do.
You
should
four,
take my word for it.
you four seem to know nothing about what is coming. You seem to know nothing about the rage. If you knew, you would not be so cocky.
Once Lucky has made it to the table, he'll quietly sit down, and then after listening to this, Lucky will finally speak up, and he says, he has killed 3 of white.
And he looks down at your leg, knowing that it's similar to him. And he said, "And is that who took your leg?"
Kalsh was the first. Kalsh took his leg.
He nods at you. You have something in common. He understands, and he looks at Nala and you, and he kind of looks how tall and how large she is as a Goliath. And how many have you slain?
Only one, a baby, but the one I want to kill is the one who killed my daughter. One day I will find him and kill him. Only one red dragon. One day I will have him.
He looks at you very, very intensely, and you could almost see his eyes welling up. And he said, an ancient red is what took my family, my wife, my children. It took half of me. One bite. That's all it took. I understand." And he kind of nods at you with respect with regard to the red dragon. And Silvaris, what do you want to do?
Silvara says, "You can trust that I will follow where you lead, and I will support you in whatever fight comes, regardless of the outcome, whether it means my death or the death of our enemy. I am here without compromise."
The 3 of you will do. The man with the strange bird, I'm not so sure about.
It's not because I don't have any scar to prove my worth or to prove my intentions. I am not willing to lay down my life to protect people. And I don't need your approval to make it happen. I will be there and I will stand by my friends, that you wish or not.
Well, you certainly sound determined. Perhaps you can just watch. Just don't get in the way. Are you clear?
I am. I'll make with that.
And what can you tell me that the Jackals have found? Have they figured out anything about why this is happening? About why the dragons are attacking now? Have they figured anything out yet?
He only knows of one word, rage. He knows not what it is.
Do you all remember the story of King Lorundon? Do you remember the ritual and the rage? Have you been told that story?
I've heard it when I was a child. Bedtime stories, heroic tales. But the rage, that of itself, is still strange. Something that I couldn't know more about, I guess.
We all know parts of the history. We know of the festival. We know enough of the story.
And you, Elf.
What new information can you offer?
And you, Elf. Your race is long-lived. Did you live through the last rage? Were you there? Did you see the dragons?
Yes. My race and my city is mostly dealt with greens, and that's where most of my expertise lies. But to me, all dragons go.
Then you know what happens to them, how they become feral, how they become wild. It doesn't matter the type. This anger and murderous streak appears in all of them. It is very destructive, and it is not due for several more years. But the dragons are beginning to attack now. Something has brought the rage early, and no one knows why. Something has been changed after thousands of years, and no one knows why.
Lucky will grab an effigy from his bag, and he'll kind of rub it again, and he'll say, Kalakri. And he kind of shakes his head, and he grips the effigy so hard that it finally snaps, and it's the thing that breaks him out of it. He has like an internal thought process, thinking back to some of the halflings that submitted themselves to become Kalaji, which is barbarians, feral beasts of the wild. And that's the closest that he can equate rage to now that he's been kind of fully described what it is.
Said, yes, I've heard that word too, but nothing compares to the power of the dragons. And it is during this time, or times of rage, that creatures that usually live solitary lives come together. And a small swarm or army is incredibly destructive and will, if not stopped, lay waste to as much of the land as they can. This black is the third I've been called to take care of. All I know is that it lives deep within the forest, that it has goblins that help it, and that if we don't do something about it, this village will not last but a few more days.
And we can't have that. Where would the dwarf drink?
He says, if you are all bent on coming with me, you are your own responsibility. I am not responsible for your lives. You stay behind me. You do what I tell you to do. If you do not, I will crush you myself. And he looks at Puck specifically. And just very sternly looks at him like, don't screw up. And he says, get some rest tonight. We leave at dawn. I will meet you at the town center before sunrise.
That's what you said about the camp we were at.
Yes, but that was before I noticed your friend's wonderful fashion sense. I'd really like to find a dinosaur head myself. And he at this point he's just making jokes. He's had far too many to drink, and he just says, well, I suppose that, again, having an audience wouldn't be so bad.
Perhaps after we kill this dragon, we can go about and seek other dragons and create dragon helms for everyone to replace the dinosaur helm.
The size of the dragon that we will hunt in the tomorrow could fit all of us in it at the same time. Be wary, my friend. It is more than you can imagine. Get some rest. All of you will need it. And he gets up, kind of pushes his chair out, and just walks out. You don't know where he's going, but he doesn't look back, and he just walks out of the tavern.
And as he gets up and walks out, I walk over and look at the area that he passed through, and take a careful check at his stride, the type of footprint that he makes. I'm basically marking him to where I can track him if he's not there in the morning.
Okay. You have added that to your repertoire then. And there are some rooms available here. There's actually 2 in the back that are open. Or you could go to an inn or something around here, but it's really of no consequence. Finding a room won't be a problem. The town knows what you're here for, as you were speaking to Dorn, and they will help you in any way they can.
Well, myself and Lucky both being Outlanders, I'm not speaking for Lucky, but in my knowledge of being an Outlander, we're probably not real comfortable in the town anyway, in spite of the fact that I look civilized. I'm used to being on my own. So if Lucky wants to make camp outside the town and come back in the morning, I'm going to go with Lucky.
Yeah, Lucky's down for that. He's not really good at explaining himself, but when you bring it up, he'll kind of ponder it for a moment, and he'll nod, and then he'll go and grab his bag.
Yeah, Nana will do the same too, saying, "Can I join you? I don't like stone houses."
Of course, Nala. And perhaps after we kill this dragon, you can take its head back, and maybe one of your parents can wear it.
And what's Puck going to do?
I'm gonna finish my tankard of beer. A little vexed. I'm still true to my word, but Puck is taking the harsh words of Doran. You know, it's hurting him a little, and he's just say nothing, finish his beer, and follow them without saying anything. You know, just drowning in his thoughts, and that's all.
And what's he going to do for the evening?
What am I gonna do?
Are you staying at the tavern, or are you coming out to camp?
I'm gonna follow you, but
okay.
my Raven Windsor is gonna turn into a book. It's gonna transform when we're going to be outside of the town camping. The Raven is gonna turn into a book. And I'm gonna be reading my Book of Shadows all the evening without saying anything, just, you know, drowning in my studies, preparing myself, trying to be up to the task, seeing obviously a little ashamed of myself, seeing everybody has scars of previous encounters with dragons, that not only to Doran but to my other friends, I have a lot to prove. I have a lot to do to be worthy of being with them. That's pretty much what Puck is thinking right now.
Okay. And as you guys all kind of walk out together, Silvarus notices, because he is very attentive and alert, that there are 2 figures in very dark black cloaks, and with a silver waistband. They're black cloaks, hooded, and they have a silver kind of belt or waistband around. And you notice out of the corner of your eye, Silvarus, that they follow you out, probably 30 or 40 feet behind you. And as you walk to your camp, you do notice them behind you. But you're certainly going faster. They're keeping their distance. But these cloaked figures are are there. They're definitely keeping a close eye on you.
Yeah, I'm going to. Once we get to the edge of the village, is there any foliage or any cover or anything around?
Not really. I mean, there's some bushes and a couple of boulders or something, but it's pretty sparse out there. You could make camp against a couple of boulders and some bushes, but no trees or anything.
I was actually looking for something that I could use with my stealth ability to try to, I have the cunning action. I was going to try to hide and slip in behind the two people and find out who's following us.
Sure. You could. There's a set of boulders probably 100 yards outside of the village. If you guys want to keep going past them and you hide, that's fine. So, and I'm not even gonna have you do a stealth check on that because it's nighttime. At this point, it's getting towards nighttime. You're not gonna have a problem.
And as we're walking towards it, I use my cantrip of message, and I tell each of my friends, just keep heading out towards the camp. I'll catch up with you. We're being followed. Don't look over your shoulder. I'm going to find out what they need. I'll call you if I need help.
Okay. Is Lucky doing anything, Chris, or is he just going where he's told?
Lucky's going to actually use one of his racial abilities, which is, I forget what they call it, silent speech. As the elf tries to break away and he sends the message, Lucky will respond. And this is very uncharacteristic of Lucky. Usually he uses he in second person when he's talking. When he talks to you inside his silent speech, it's first person. You get the feeling that this is a much more intimate way of communication for him. He says, I understand.
And so you have your little rocks and bushes in there, and you successfully hide about 100 yards outside of the village as the rest of the party continues to go. And you notice that these cloaked figures stop at the edge of the village. They don't follow you any further. And they stay there for a minute as the other party goes over the crest of the next hill. And when you can no longer see the party, Silvaros, you see the cloaked figures turn around and walk back towards the village. And they disappear into the darkness.
Okay. I will catch up to the party then, as long as they're not following us anymore. I'll let them know what I found when I get there.
Yeah, and really you guys can make camp and wherever you want. It's going to be a very uneventful evening. You camp, you rest, you get all your spells back, all your hit points back. It's all good. And the next morning, all of you wake up to Dorn with his Titan copper leg stomping out your fire very loudly. He obviously snuck up on everyone, but he's not trying to be very quiet right now. And he's just stomping out, going, "We're losing daylight. We must go." And he looks at all of you and said, "Any trouble last night?"
None. And Silverest gets up and he notices he's picking up his studded leather armor to put it back on, and as he raises his arm up to put it on, you see this intricate woven copper Titan metal going through his almost like they look like ruins, but they're in the form of a raven, and the copper Titan, or the what's it called, the Titan copper, yeah, it's got these wings that come back and fold out over the side of his shoulder before he puts the armor on.
Okay. And he says, "You say nothing happened last night. Are you sure nothing happened?"
During the evening, I stayed awake with my elven sleep, my keen senses. Nothing came near us. Before we left the town, we were followed from the tavern by two folks in black robes and silver belts.
Ah, yes. Dragon Society. You'll run into them.
That won't be pleasant for them.
Who are they?
You're all supposed to be dragon hunters. You've never heard of them?
Well, I suppose if I can make a check for this, I would. Maybe I can know something. But overall, I'm not hiding the fact that I'm pretty new to this stuff. And anyway, he already doesn't like me, so no use hiding it.
Well, Puck, I will give Puck an opportunity to impress him. Give me a religion check.
Okay. So 17.
You know that the Dragon Society is a cult. You know that it is a cult that is considered evil, but that during the times of rage, the dragon cult tends to pick up lots of followers, feeling that they can be protected from this group, or by this group. And you know that they are hell-bent on worshiping dragons as kings and as gods, and that it is their purpose to help them in any way they can. And that for centuries they have been trying to control the rage, to stop the rage, but unsuccessfully. So you don't know everything, but you do know that.
Okay. Well, that I tell them.
And you can tell them by the silver belt or strap that they wear around their waist. That's the mark, the black hooded cloak and the silver strap.
Okay.
And at this point, Dorn just starts walking towards the forest.
As I'm following Doran towards the forest, I mentioned to him as well, didn't come out of the village. They stayed at the corner of the village and waited for the party to crest over the top of the hill. I had stayed behind in hopes of catching them unaware, but they didn't come out far enough.
They're more clever than you give them credit for. They probably knew you were there. They're difficult to, let's just say, they're very difficult to interrogate and really track down. But that's not a problem for today. We have another job today. You all know what that is. We must go. Okay.
Yes.
And Dorn explains or asks you, has anyone surveyed the forest? Is anyone familiar with the forest?
We were there before. We scouted as much as we could.
As Lucky flew over it and Puck flew, you would both be pretty familiar with the general geography of the forest. And he looks at, I assume you both would tell him that, and he looks at both of you and says, did you see the clearing in the center?
Yes.
And he says, that is where we need to go. That is the best place to find this black dragon. I don't know if he's there. I don't know what is there. But that is the one that attacked this village, and that is the one that we are here to destroy.
He knows this place, and Lucky will start moving through the trees, and he's going to stop every so often and kind of touch a tree and reestablish where he is, but he's going to just start heading towards the clearing.
Does anybody else want to do anything, or just keep following Dorn? Dorn's pretty much leading the way, significantly faster than you guys would expect a man of that size to be traveling. The weight of his Titan copper extremities don't seem to be hindering him at all.
As normal, Silveress nods to the party, and most of the group that is familiar with him knows what that means. He just kind of drops to the back of the party and slips off into the woods a little bit, just out of sight. I can still keep an eye on the party, but I'm keeping kind of to the shadows and stealthily following along and keeping an eye out on our backs.
Yeah, that's probably good, considering me and Dorn probably sound like a pack of fucking elephants coming through here.
Yeah, and I figure with you know the female Goliath and him wearing his barbarian dinosaur head and stuff, it's not exactly conducive to what I do. But although it would be fun to interrogate somebody with those two folks around.
Yeah. As for me, I'll just snap my fingers, and a cloak of black feathers will appear as I cast my mage armor, preparing myself for what's about to happen. And I'll try to help Doran as much as he won't like that, but I'll try to prove my worth and be useful as much as I can by tracking anything I can find about the dragon.
Okay. You
Lucky's actually going to fall behind because of his movement speed. So unless somebody like slows down Dorn, it seems like he doesn't really care that Lucky's falling behind. Probably.
No, he doesn't. He's getting there. He's looking at you guys as an audience. That's pretty cool, Bill. And he does not stop. You know, if you want to run a little bit, and you know they're not going to be too far ahead of you, but he's definitely very nonchalant about leading you behind. And he might glance back and just make some little comments about the shortness of your legs or something like that. But you know, and then one thing he will say to you, Lucky, is, "Don't you have one of those dinosaurs? You're so small. Can't you just fly? That's what I was told about you. You're one of those. You're one of those blood riders, right?"
He is. He speaks the truth. But he cannot call upon such a beast freely. There is always cost.
Well, how much? We don't have the time.
Time is the cost.
And he...
So, Lucky will kind of think about it for a moment, and he kind of nods, and he'll kind of rub his leg momentarily, and the runes will start to light up again. But this is different than last time. He'll start to float just a few inches above the ground. He's going to use his copper flight boon so that he can gain some speed.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you basically fly right up next to Dorn, I'm assuming, just stay up with him? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can probably fly about 60 feet, so...
I was going to say, I think it functions as the fly spell, basically.
Yeah, I think it's 60 feet, or 120 feet.
I think in the book it's your regular speed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know what? For the purposes of this, fly, you're going 60 feet around.
I was about to offer him to cast fly on him, but in that case.
Fine. So Dorn again, he slows down a little bit, but you know you'll be within you know close enough distance to stay up with him. It's not that huge of a deal. But you guys are now passing where you met those goblin riders and those spiders, and you do notice that one of the spiders looks to have been chewed on. Just it's missing some limbs. You can see kind of the striations from the bite marks, and its thorax has been basically ripped in half. So you know, you just notice that something has been here, and that smell as you're walking in this direction, following Dorn, keeps getting stronger and stronger. That rotten meat smell, and that again, the forest with that kind of green mist. Stays everywhere. You have to get above the trees to really see anything with any distance. But he just keeps going.
I cantrip towards Lucky again with my message, and I just whisper in his ear, "There will be goblins soon."
Yeah, Dorn again probably goes for another hour before he stops, and he kind of looks back, and he says most people would be very tired at this point. I don't suffer those exhaustions that you guys do, y'all. Do you need to rest, or can we keep going? You've been traveling now probably 6 hours, just following him.
I reckon we can keep going.
And like the Copper Flight, like I said, he's being cognizant of his speed. He's keeping up. You're pretty fine with that.
It's a short burst thing. It only lasts for 10 minutes, so Lucky will kind of reassess because he's already effectively, at this point, burned through all of his flights and moved with him on foot. Lucky will nod and say, yes, a rest would be best.
Okay.
He will call for his steed, and he'll stop and he'll summon forth the pterodon before doing the rest.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how long will your mount stay there?
It's there until it's dismissed or killed.
Okay. So you guys are very deep in this forest now. None of you are really very familiar with it, other than from above. The same thing, though. You do hear in the distance. You do hear some yelling. It's high pitched. It doesn't sound human, but you do. As you're preparing to kind of settle in and camp for a little while and rest, you hear just this high pitched kind of squealing, and it sounds like it's coming maybe 100 yards, 200 yards ahead of you. And Dwarn looks to all of you, and almost looking like, what would you like to do?
I'll message Dorn, and he'll hear a whisper in his ear, even if he doesn't know where I am, that states I can scout ahead and stay hidden and tell you if we have anything coming up if you need, and you can reply to me in this message, and I'll be the only one that hears it.
I would like to maybe follow the high-pitched noise. See if someone needs. I'll just say if someone needs our help, dragon or not, I prefer to be there to help and save them.
Okay. What's Lucky going to be doing?
Lucky will mount up, and he'll look to Dorn and he'll say, do you know the distance? Do you know where this dragon resides? He wishes to fly, but does not wish to draw attention.
Dorn just kind of shakes his head. What we're hearing is not the dragon. It's something else, but it's not the dragon.
Lucky will nod, and he's going to start shooting for the tree line. He wants to get a higher point of vantage so he can maybe get eyes on this thing before it comes in.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, once you get above the tree line, there's not much you can see through the foliage, but you do see that there's movement in the trees about 100 yards ahead of you. Kind of in the upper foliage, you can see it swaying back and forth a little bit. You're not sure what it is, but you see that there's movement up there. You would need to fly significantly lower to see what it is.
Okay.
What about the rest of you? Just I know Puck's going forward. What's Nala doing?
She will take her great sword and go with Puck, in trying to be as silent, as stealthy as possible, even if in a full plate. Trying.
What about Sylvanus? Is he gonna just kind of go roundabout and?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to stay in the shadows and keep hidden, but I am gonna using my second story skill. I am gonna try to get up into the trees themselves and move rapidly through the branches. Try quietly and rapidly through the branches. try to come up on them by surprise, so I'm at their level, not what they're expecting.
Sure. Dorn kind of looks at all of you going, and he stayed in the same spot. He just kind of shrugs and finds a rock to sit on and just watches you as you all go forward, almost nonchalantly, not caring about what you're hearing, and just says, "I wish you luck," and smiles, this little smirk in his face. And as you guys all get closer, Chris flies down. Silvaris is in the shadows but still looking. Puck and Nala are close. You find a goblin hanging from his leg in a snare, several feet off the ground, just screaming, not so much hurt, just screaming and kind of whining and crying, so to speak. And you notice he has one of those black scales on his chest as well. And he's just hanging there.
Should I shoot him down?
Shoot what?
The goblin. Yeah.
You guys tell me.
Maybe.
Is
Yeah.
Dorn here with us, or?
No, he waited back.
Or
Really, the closest person to you is Nala.
yeah. So Nala, I shoot him down, or we try to interrogate him.
We can try to interrogate. I can try to cut that snare.
Can you speak Goblin?
No.
I know I can't.
Maybe he does know the language of his master. Do you speak Draconic?
Yes, I do.
Me too.
Then in this case, I'll approach the Goblin just a safe distance, but he will be, just a distance. He will be able to hear me, and I'll speak in Draconic and ask him. I'll ask him, why are you in this predicament?
You see him turn to you as he's kind of swaying, on the string. You see him turn to you, and he kind of spins a little bit because he really can't control it. And you can see that in his eyes that he understands what you're saying,
Okay.
but he responds in a language that you don't understand. But he seems to understand your words. You just can't understand his.
In this case, I'll try to intimidate him with my Fey Presence power.
Okay.
Just give me a moment. I don't remember it. So it's... okay. I'll ask him in the intention of intimidating him. Speak to us in a manner we can understand, or we shoot you down. And as I tell him this, I've got my features all get like a fey nature, all raven-like.
Give me an intimidation roll.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Well, 12.
Yeah, he just looking at you, and he's being very dynamic with his hands, and speaking in a language that you just don't understand. He almost seems like you should understand what he's saying, but you don't.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, he's not any more scared than he was before he first saw you.
Okay. I turn to Nala and say, I guess he can understand Draconic but can't speak it. I suggest we leave him there. I just feel bad for the little guy. I don't want to kill him for nothing. I guess we'll just head back.
As you're doing this and you're talking to him, you hear Dorn come up behind you, and he takes his Titan copper arm and he grabs the goblin by the throat and he holds him out, and he looks at him, and he speaks in the same tongue that the goblin is speaking.
Yeah. And
the translation would be, "Where is your master?" And the goblin turns and points in a direction over Dorn's shoulder. And Dorn says something in Goblin or Goblinoid, and the goblin shakes his head. And at that moment, Dorn squeezes a little bit harder, and you hear a and the goblin's neck snaps, and Dorn drops him. And he looks at everybody and says, "We don't have time for games. We must go that way."
Yeah.
Thanks for the help. I thought you were just gonna sit there on the stone and, I'm surprised that you helped us. Thanks.
I didn't help you. I helped myself.
Well, you were not so inclined to go that way before. So let's go. Anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't even wait for you to stop talking. He just keeps going.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Nala would say he's more stubborn than a mountain, but less stubborn than the ram god.
Yeah.
And
I guess he's as strong as a mountain too. So.
Chris, is Lucky going to be flying, or is he going to be walking?
He's going to fly. The mount is actually strong enough to support him and everything fine, even though he's got his plate and everything on. So he flies at 40.
Oh, okay, no problem. So yeah, are you going to lead ahead in that direction, or are you going to let Dorn lead?
I'll go with Dorn because he seems to be more intimately familiar with the area.
Okay. And it's actually, again, there's not much going on in this forest just because of what is here. You know, you see some goblins here and there. You do see some additional spiders, but they're all far away. Nothing's really coming towards you. Everything seems to be running away from you. And you come to this thinning of the trees where not so much less trees, but the trees are dead. They have no foliage. They're brown and dry in some areas. Some of them, there's kind of a black goo, just basically water with, rotten vegetation in it. That heavy smell of rot just permeates everything in this area. And off in the distance, you do see some ruins. All of you know that these are the ruins of the ancient orc stronghold of Lynok. And it's been centuries since it's been used. The trees have kind of overrun it with vines and foliage. In this little area, it looks like it used to be lush, but the leaves just litter the ground. There's really nothing that looks to be alive, and there is almost a moat surrounding this stronghold. It's littered with water, with tree trunks and everything like that. But there's a pretty decent amount of water in there. But you don't see any movement. You don't see anything in the water. You just see this stone pillars and walls crumbling out there. You see this opening is probably half a mile across, or a quarter of 1 kilometer for you Canadians. Sorry, I don't know metric. And you just notice that it's an area where something could very easily get into the sky, and Puck would tell the group, because of his expertise in black dragons, that black dragons prefer ancient ruins close to water, that their lairs are very often littered with animal carcasses and rotting meat, and that this would be a perfect lair for a black dragon should one be here, just due to his knowledge.
Which would also explain the rotting smell that we detected the day ago.
So you guys are probably about 50 yards from the water. There is a bridge that goes over it, but it's pretty well surrounded. And again, you don't know how deep the water is, but you just know that it's pretty big. You wouldn't be able to just jump across it. You would either have to fly or find a way to get across it.
I message to Lucky and ask if his mount can carry more than one.
She cannot. Her weight would be far too restricted.
Understood.
All right.
Is there any way I can speak to Lucky without being too loud, considering the fact that he's about 40 feet up in the air?
I'm not up in the air 40 feet. I'm actually relatively close to the ground. I'm staying with you guys.
I saw you making a lot of effort to just follow us using flight. I'm gonna ask you: is there any way I can help you? Do you want me to lighten the load off of you and maybe make you fly with my magic, if you would like?
No. Lucky's
No?
steed will serve well.
Okay.
So how do you guys plan to get into the ruins?
First, Nala would say us a prayer and touching our neck where our color and holy symbol is, and asking our God to reveal what is hidden, and casting the spell find the traps. So I would, in an area of 120 feet, reveal any sinkholes, traps, maybe rigged bridge like that one could be, and if anything is rigged to against us, Nala will know.
Okay. Yeah, within 120 feet, you do not see anything other than there's a snare off in the distance in the other direction. Just a snare set that looks like it's for an animal or something, but nothing that would be for you guys. Just your basic snare.
Okay. We'll say that to my companion, saying, only a snare is against us. The way is clear.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'd like to scout a little. I can make myself invisible, so maybe it's the safest way to see if the dragon's in there. If you don't mind, I don't want to do anything against your will, Dorn. I'm saying this not cocky, but just trying to show him that I can be useful.
But he looks at you. He looks at you and he kind of nods approvingly. And he
Okay.
says,
Then I cast greater invisibility.
Hold on.
Yeah.
He looks at you and he says, every dragon hunt needs bait. Go ahead.
In this case, I'll cast Greater Invisibility, and as I am becoming invisible, my right hand is still visible for a few last seconds, and I'm flipping the finger to him, and I'm invisible, and I'm just going through the ruins, toward the ruins. I mean, hopefully trying to find something.
How long does greater invisibility last?
1 minute.
Okay. So in that 1 minute, you can probably get across the bridge and into the ruins, but you will pretty much be by yourself in those ruins at that time. Is that what you want to do?
No, he won't.
Okay, good.
No, he won't be. He won't be alone. I'll follow him with stealth, and I don't know exactly where he is because he's invisible to me. But I do send him a message because I can do that without sight as long as it's a target that I'm familiar with. And the message is, I'm supporting you. I'm your support, my friend. And using stealth, I attempt to cross the moat, going under the drawbridge, and maintaining my hidden status.
Give me a stealth check, Bill. When you're going over the bridge.
Okay.
If it can help him, my Raven will be near my position, still visible, and this will be knowingly because my friends will have seen the bird since we've been traveling for at least 2 days together. So he will be able to locate me in a fashion. Hopefully the dragon will not be able to do so.
Okay, and you guys know that Silverest wears an odd-looking cloak of elven design that has kind of a cloudy gray and blacks and even a little bit of that dark red that he normally wears. And I roll for my stealth. Hmm. 27.
Okay.
Nice.
Hold on 1 second. I gotta make a roll here. See if I can beat it. I didn't. So you are successful, and you are stealthed across that bridge. You just kind of stick to the shadows as much as you can there. And you are near the invisible puck as you walk into the ruins. What would Lucky and Nala want to do right now?
Lucky's going to kind of glance towards the bird that's been left behind, and he'll mutter to himself, but kind of to Dorn at the same time. And he says, blacks and whites must be similar. Do they not know that they can see through nothing?
Dorn would say, there are many things that many people don't know, especially that young one, the one that just turned invisible. And he was just very kind of shaking his head, but almost still having that smirk on his face, though.
With that, Lucky will kind of nod, and he's going to drop his pack here to unload the extra weight, and he'll take off his shield and prep his lance, expecting this to just go completely terrible for us.
Huck, give me a... You know what? Give me a stealth check.
Stealth? Okay.
Because you're pretty much coming out of invisibility as you cross after a minute, so give me a stealth check.
Ew, it's fumble.
Oh, did you critical fail?
Yeah, it's a 1+1, so 2. We cannot critical fail on a skill check, but it's pretty bad.
Basically, you come out of stealth, just shining, and you almost shimmer, like just because of your Fey patron. You almost shimmer, like if something, even if it wasn't looking for you, something would really very easily find you. And where is Sylvanas? Sylvaris?
Silvares has taken up a spot at the other side of the drawbridge, slightly behind and down in the shadows, away from where his friend came into view, and
Okay.
he already has an arrow knocked, and he's just kind of shaking his head like, "Oh, I should have taught him."
Okay. I need wisdom checks from Puck and from Sylvaris.
Okay. It is not going well for me. 7. It's a pure wisdom.
Sylvaris?
Is this straight wisdom, or is this based on skill?
Straight wisdom.
Okay, then it would be an 11. I rolled a 12, but I have a -1.
Okay, both of you are overcome with this just incredible feeling of dread. You both become very paranoid. You both get very frightened and very afraid. And give me just 1 second here.
I should have known better.
Basically, you are frightened, both of you, for 1 minute. But after each round, you can try to make the save again. But you will be any attacks or anything that you do will have disadvantage for the next 1 minute, unless you make the save. Okay. And as you guys feel this sudden burst of dread, you see just some bubbling coming up from this water underneath the bridge, and very quickly, significantly faster than you could ever think possible, this dark figure just erupts from the water, just as if something exploded in the water and just flew up. And this large dark figure looks directly at Puck and says, "How dare you?" And it shoots its breath weapon at Puck.
Okay.
Hits. And I'm not doing 6. Hold on a second. I got to use my app for this. There we go. All right. And Puck, you get just covered in this 5-foot just stream of acid, 5 foot wide. And you take 38 points of acid damage as this acid hits you, and you can feel it melting into your skin and your clothes and your staff, and even you notice that it had hit in such a way that the front of your shoes has melted away. But you took 32 points of damage, and you see a large black dragon hovering in front of you.
Okay.
Roll for initiative.
As he strikes me with his breath weapon, I will activate my Misty Escape class ability and will teleport myself 60 feet away from where I am.
Okay,
so I guess I'm going to be on the bridge or something.
Okay, so you want to go back towards the bridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can learn from my mistakes, at least. So, yeah, I'm going to back up a little.
And as you do that, you guys, especially Lucky, looks up at Dorn. And Dorn's got this smile on his face, and he looks down at Lucky and says, "See? Bait."
At least his breath weapon is, At least we know where he is now.
Give me just 1 second here. Also, with that teleportation, he's not close enough to do his other attacks, but he does. The dragon looks a little confused for a moment, and then black dragons tend to be a little bit more serpentine-like, and its head has these horns that protrude out and then come forward. They're very unique to it, and as he turns his head, the saliva from his mouth after his breath weapon kind of sprays the bridge, and you hear tss, 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 where it's hitting, and all the time. Puck, some of your clothing is still kind of burning and steaming, and he looks at you again and says, "How dare you?" And let's see. Let me roll Dorn here.
Yeah.
1 second, guys. Just got to write down initiative here. Okay. Okay. All right. So, Chris, you are up next. You have a dragon about 60 feet from you, maybe a little bit more, hovering over some water and a bridge. A giant black dragon.
Okay. I'm going to push the mount, and it's going to do full speed ahead. If I remember right, I can make it dash twice is the deal?
Yep.
Yeah. So that will mean 80 feet covered, which is enough to get to him.
Yep.
And I'm going to attempt to lance and fly by. The cool part about being on the pterodon is I don't get attacks of opportunity for leaving his threat zone with a pterodon.
Okay. Roll to see if you hit.
Okay. This is with the fancy lance. That is a 22 to hit.
That hits. Roll for damage.
Okay. Fish out a d12 here. 14 plus another 6. That's going to be 20 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And I'd like to expend 2 of my combat superiority dice,
okay,
so that I can use my Furious Charger ability, which both of them get added to the damage roll. So that's a bonus of another 12, so 32 points of piercing damage, and he has to make a strength saving throw or get knocked prone. He has disadvantage on it.
Okay. Okay. And I'm sorry, what stat? How to do a what?
It's a strength saving throw, or else he's knocked prone. My DC is 15. He has disadvantage to it, though.
He rolled a 17, and
Okay.
the first one, and the second was a 21. So
I'd like to use Lucky to make him re-roll one of those. Or, I'm sorry, I roll it and then I choose which one he keeps. That's right.
okay.
3 plus his modifiers, so I think I'm going to take that one.
Okay. So what did yours come out to then?
3 plus whatever his modifiers are.
Okay, so yeah. So that's going to be 7. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'll take
okay.
that one so he's knocked prone at least.
So what does this look like? You're
So-
flying, you're charging. Describe this to us.
Yeah, so the charge, the spectral pterodon that he rides is enlaced with copper, and you can see inside its bat-like wings these copper veins. But the interesting part is the fact that it's almost as if his legs meld into the beast, and his lance is kind of shaped itself from copper. This is a magical lance that he's bonded with through his copper bond, and you can see that almost the same vein-like structures that are in the bird's wings are inside the lance itself. Upon striking it, you can see that it scores this deep wound that has kind of a copper glow to it, and then the glow fades as he pulls away. But the blow is going to be just enough to just knock this thing off weight because it really wasn't expecting it.
So if it falls, it's actually going to fall back into the water.
Mm-hmm.
So prone, kind of.
Prone
but
is relative in this case.
it's basically going to the dragon is going to take this damage, and maybe you got it in a part of that of its wing or something that really it just couldn't keep its weight, and you just hear it go, "Arr!" and you hear "Push," and it goes under the surface of the water and stays there and just stays in the water. You guys cannot see it, but for all intents and purposes, it is fallen out of the sky.
Yep.
Next is Dorn. Dorn is going to rush to the bridge, and he is going to kind of stand on the edge, just kind of looking over. And he is not going to be able to see anything. But he would look up. He would look up to Lucky, and he would just nod as if to say, "Well done," something that he didn't expect. And he would look at Puck, and he would kind of put his hand out to say, "Stand back, just stay back." And since this thing is underwater at this point, he can't do anything. So next is Puck. What would Puck like to do?
At this point, do I still have a line of sight with the dragon?
No, the dragon is in the water.
Completely? Okay. In this case, I'll cast Mirror Image on myself.
Okay.
So copies of myself will appear around me, hopingly, increasing my chance of survival. So it's gonna be my action for this round.
Okay. And how long does that last?
1 minute.
Okay.
It's 3 duplicates.
Okay. Sylvaness, what do you want to do?
Silverest will maintain his stealth position with his arrow knocked, watching the water closely, waiting for the dragon to reemerge. I'm going to hold my action in preparation for a shot as soon as he gives me something.
Gotcha. Okay, no problem. What about Nala? What did Nala want to do?
Seeing that the dragon is most likely in the water, maybe at the same spot he fell, Nala would cast the spell Control Water and target the zone where he fell and try to do a whirlpool. And if he stayed at the same place he fell or nearby, he would get in a whirlpool at that place and begin to be crushed by the spell. So if he starts his round in that, he will need to make a saving throw, or he will be stuck in there a bit and getting some damage.
And where are you standing right now, Nala? Are you on?
I can be as far away as I want, 300 feet. So I will stay near Dorn and checking and concentrating on the spell.
Dorn is now standing in the middle of the bridge, looking over the edge.
Yeah, I will stay at the shore then.
Okay, so like at the front of the bridge.
Yeah, something like that.
So you see that you start this, you do your incantation, and you see the water kind of start to bubble and start to swirl, and you don't see the dragon, but the dragon is quite large. You think that at the bottom of the whirlpool you see a tail. You don't know for sure because you're so far away, but you think you might see a tail. But it is not in the center of your whirlpool, though.
Okay.
What I'll do is, while this is active, if anyone wants to try to make an attack on that area, because it still is part of the dragon, they can try with advantage on that. Okay, so Chris, it's back up to you.
Okay. I'm just going to take off vertically, get some lift, so that if this thing does come out of the water, I've got some range on it, because I kind of left myself exposed after that last move. Once I get a little bit more clear, I'm just going to be on the ready to do another glancing blow.
Okay.
I was holding my action from the last go-round. with your permission, I'm going to go ahead and take the shot at the tail.
Go ahead. Roll with advantage.
That's going to be a 27 for the shot to hit.
That hits.
Okay.
Roll for damage.
$39 points of damage with one arrow.
How'd that happen?
It's called backstab. It works really well when you're level 8. You get an additional 4 die 6. Anytime I have advantage, the target in question gets to take that along with.
Okay, so how much damage was it? Give that again.
Let's see.
'He's
38.
busy taking it.
38. Okay. What does this really look like, Bill? I mean, this mega amount of damage from one arrow. What does this look like with the whirlpool and everything?
Okay. Even the group of my party that's been with me, they've never actually seen my bow do this, and really in my stealth position right now, it may not be something that they can see anyway. But the bow itself, when I draw an arrow and I lock it down and I draw it back from the handle where your hand holds the bow going out, begins to turn a blood red color as I'm pulling back on this ivory bow. And when I go to release it, you can hear a whisper on the wind as the arrow sails down into that little whirlpool area and strikes it in the tail. But the arrow itself, the feathers glow red as well. This is all just an effect. The actual bow is only a +1, but I use something that me and the DM have talked about previously from Be a Better Game Master's Better Weapon Designer, and so I just gave it kind of an interesting effect.
Yeah, putting the stuff with Barker, it makes reskinning a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
you guys do
Making
great
it
stuff.
more than just a +1 weapon. It's great.
yeah.
So when that hits Silvaris, it actually causes part of the tail. You just got the tip of the tail. It actually causes it to split. So it was together like this, and when it hit, just the force and the amount of trauma that it hit actually split it. So the last 2 feet of this dragon's tail have now forked. Okay, and this obviously is quite a lot of damage. And as this hits, he rises up and just erupts from the water. And again, he doesn't do a really good job to get a good, because the whirlpool holds him down a little bit. He does break free of it, but his head comes right up by where Dorn is, and the head latches on to his Titan Copper arm. His arm is in the dragon's mouth, and they're looking eye to eye, and the dragons just keep slowly rising, and Dorn is hanging in his mouth.
And as a bonus action, I'd like to cantrip the Whisperer, and the dragon will hear in his own tongue, in his ear, he'll hear the words, "Now your ass looks like your tongue." And I'll slip back into the shadows and knock another arrow.
Did you just talk shit to a dragon?
Hell yeah. I'm a Copper Jackal.
That doesn't happen often. Excuse me. Sorry, Bill. You kind of got me on that one. So Dorn is going to try to. He just has a regular sword in his other hand. He prefers hand to hand, but he takes the sword and let's see. And he actually hits the left horn of this dragon, and he actually chops part of the horn off. He doesn't do any damage, but he just kind of reaches through and hits. And again, it doesn't really hurt him. It's just more the principle of it. And the dragon opens his mouth as Dorn just plummets to the ground. He's probably got 50 or 60 feet, and he would wind up falling in the water at that point. But he obviously struck a nerve with this dragon, but the dragon keeps moving up. He does not want to be close to you guys, so he's continuing to move up. Puck, what would you like to do?
Now that I can see him, Windsor, my Raven will turn into my Book of Shadows, and I'll cast Slow on the dragon, hopefully having an effect on him. So he has to do a Wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
DC. Just give me a second. DC 19.
Yeah, he fails that.
So for the next minute, as long as I concentrate, he's gonna have half his speed, -2 to armor class,
Okay.
and -2 to dexterity saving throws. He can't use reaction, and he can either use action or bonus action in his round, not both. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Silvaris, what would you like to do?
Well, he's up there, but he's not out of my range. I have sharpshooter, so I hit him again. And
He's about 120 feet up. You're good.
Yep. It's going to be bonus here. That's going to be a 23 for the shot.
Yep, hits.
Okay. That's going to be that'll be 20 points of damage on that arrow shot. Not quite as good of a roll as the last one.
Okay. As this is the second damaging arrow from this same spot, the dragon is going to know where you are at this point. You're not going to be able to stealth up and hide at this point. You've done a ton of damage to him. He's definitely going to notice you. So just keep that.
For my cunning action, as a rogue, for my cunning action, I'm going to use the dash ability, but I'm going to combine that with my copper teleportation boom.
Okay.
So that I can bolt away from the area that I am, and then I will attempt to hide again in the beginning of my next round. That takes up my bonus action to do the teleport.
Okay. Okay, we will do that at the next one. At the next round. With him doing that, he's going to, again, just kind of stay hovering about 120 feet right now. Nala, what would you like to do?
Then I will stop concentrating on the spell, casting Call Lightning, saying, "You want the sky? The sky is coming for you," and casting summoning clouds and thunder, and a lightning bolt will hit the dragon, and I will cast that as a. Do I have? Yeah, I will cast that as a 5th level spell, so I need to do a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
Which he has -2.
Okay. Okay.
DC 15.
He failed.
Okay.
Roll for damage.
So as this is the first dragon Nala faced in a long while, and it's not a baby, it's not the big dragon, but she's gonna say, "Be gone with you!" And I'm gonna use the channel divinity of my domain and maximize that damage, and doing a 50 damage, 50 points of damage, because the damage is maximized.
Okay. Jesus. I think I might have Underestimated, Joe.
Talk about effective.
So with this tell me this, Nala. What does this look like when it happens?
A very big cloud appears, and you can hear, like, in fact you can see in the clouds rams and animals of the mountains, and when the lightning strike the dragon, it's like when rams collide each other when they're fighting, and at that moment the dragon will be stricken by the lightning.
Okay. Okay. As this lightning happens, the dragon is going to look down at you, and it is going to. Now, where are you standing, Nala, in relationship to Puck?
I was like at the shore of the bridge, so if he's nearby, I will be near too.
Okay, so you guys are both going to be in the line. She is going to take a deep breath and try to shoot her acid again.
God damn it, Nala.
Against Nala, he rolled a 19. Against Puck, he rolled a 17. So you both get hit with acid breath again. Give me 1 second. Nala, you take 38 points of damage.
Okay.
Just acid melting. Your plate armor that you're wearing is getting pitted and getting parts of it. Maybe the smaller parts are falling off, but it's done quite a bit. And Puck, you take an additional 30 points of damage, and your clothes are being pretty much held together by threads at this point.
Yeah.
The robes that you're wearing, there's giant holes in them. You can see your body through it, except for the special places. Those are covered. So yeah, he absolutely got you with that again. And at the same time, he swoops down and he actually catches Dorn in his claw, and he is going to try to claw Dorn with that as he's falling. And Dorn is going to take 14 points of damage, and then he is going to toss him onto the bridge. So Dorn, just as he takes this damage across the side of him that is not copper, it just kind of starts to bleed, and the dragon just opens his claw and throws him down, and he falls 30 or 40 feet. 30 or 40 feet onto his back in the middle of the bridge. He's probably about 40 feet from the bridge right now. Chris, what would you like to do?
Is the dragon over the bridge or land at this point?
About 30 or 40 feet above the bridge right now.
Okay.
Still flying.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in for a standard attack, but yeah, it's gonna be a standard attack, so it'll be with the lance. Let me just double check this real quick here. That's 24 to hit.
Yeah, hits.
Okay. That's going to be 19 points of damage. Okay. And I'm going to use my action surge to lift up, and I'm going to start like hooping and hollering at him to try and draw his attention. I want to get him more focused on me at this point.
Okay. So at this point, he just absolutely is paying attention to you, Lucky. He's more just surprised at this, that the amount of damage that these people are doing to him is something that, he tries to back up a little bit. He's still looking at you, but he's flying back. He's just buffeting his wings and just creating some space.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lucky's attempting to lure him closer towards the shoreline.
Yeah. Well, he looks at all of you and he says, "What do you think you will accomplish? It is already too late. You are nothing. And he's saying this to Lucky.
Lucky isn't going to respond. He's just going to continue his path of trying to lure this thing to some solid ground.
Okay. Let's see here. Hey, Chris, roll me a wisdom save, please.
Okay. If this is a fear check, I get advantage on it.
Okay, it's a fear check.
Okay. I think I might want to use a luck point. 14. Yeah, I'm going to use a luck point. That was terrible.
Okay.
Okay, 19.
Okay, then you save. You're fine. So again, he's just backing off. He's not that stupid, but he is definitely hurting. His tail is split. There's holes in his side. One of his wings just looks beat up. Seems very unsure of what to do. He seems very this isn't what he expected. But at that moment, he actually tucks his wings back into his body and plummets back into the water. But this time into an area of the water that looks significantly deeper. And he stays submerged. Puck is next.
Okay. Did he manage to get that far in the water, considering he's got only half his move?
He just dove, so he's probably hitting the water as it's your turn.
Okay, so I can still see him?
Yes.
In this case, I'll try to hit him with 2 Eldritch Blasts.
Okay, make sure you're rolling with disadvantage because you're feared.
Yeah. I'll do it in 2 parts. So the first 2 dice you see is the first attack.
Okay.
The first, I guess, miss with 13, and the second one, 15.
Okay. They both.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I maintain the slow spell. Other than that,
as he goes in, you shoot these 2 Eldritch Blasts and they flash up next to him, but they just don't connect. They don't hit.
Yeah.
Sylvaris.
And so he hit the water, the nose of the dragon hit the water as the blast went off at him. I'm going to get an arrow shot at his tail. And just because I feel a spite in me, I will take the -5 on the shot to give me the bonus. Oh, man. I rolled a natural 20 and a 19, and I can't keep the natural 20 because I've got disadvantage. But the 19 plus my bonuses will put it high in the 20s because I still get +3 even with the -5 to hit.
That copper boon to ignore disadvantage is starting to look good again, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be cool. But he's still going to get nailed, and because of where I am and the fact that he's just recently engaged in melee, I still get my sneak attack damage.
With 21, I guess I'm not afraid anymore. Okay.
"41 points of damage to his tail as he bolts into the water."
His tail again.
I've been forgetting to add the +1 of the bow too, but I did an additional 41 points just as his tail's disappearing.
Yeah, he's gonna be the only dragon with 2 tails in the realm.
He's muted right now, so I can't even hear the DM.
So the tail continues to split even further. Now 4 or 5 feet of the tail is now forked. it's just it's just hurting.
I didn't even get a chance to hide on that last one. I got my sneak attack because the dragon had been engaged in melee with Lucky. So you guys actually, for the first time, saw my bow as I stretched the arrow back. As I pulled the string back, you see the bow turn red, blood red, before I release it, and the arrow seems to have that reddish hue to it as it sinks into the tail before it hits.
Okay, and okay, Nala, what do you want Nala to do?
I say, taking a breath, I can cast another spell. We can follow him below the water. I can part water.
Okay. So you're gonna cast Control Water again?
Yeah, I'm gonna part water and doing a 100 feet cube, so in all directions. So I'm gonna part the waters to it does like a trench, and it does a wall on either side, and the spell lasts like for 10 minutes. So I guess if there's at least a path to where he's going, we can at least follow him.
Do me a favor, just roll me a d20. No
Okay.
No or anything, just roll me a d20.
Okay. 20. 13.
Again, just like before, you see part of the dragon, but you don't. It's just his split tail. One of the halves of his split tail is hanging out of the wall. You don't see the whole thing. It's trying to move away as you're parting the water. It's moving, but you definitely know the roundabout area that he is, for sure. Chris.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna continue to kind of wait. It's better for me to wait for it to come to me at this point. I'm gonna do the old cavalry unit trick of luring it away. I'm gonna continue to kind of make it to where I'm guiding it towards the shoreline if it does come after me. But Lucky is going to kind of brace this lance, which I haven't actually described just yet, which is actually a roughly hewn lance out of a material that once you get close enough, you'll realize it's a white dragon's tooth, actually.
Awesome. It's a +1 lance, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next is Dorn. Dorn is going to get up from his prone position, as he's been doing for the last 2 rounds, and he's going to see this tail, and he's going to look over at Nala, and he's going to nod, and then he's going to jump into the trench and walk through the wall of water to get to the dragon as quickly as possible. Initially, he would try to pull the tail and pull the dragon back, but obviously he couldn't do that. But he's basically standing in the trench right now, pulling at half of this thing's tail. So yeah, at that point, that's what his turn is going to be. What would Puck like to do?
With his renewed courage, Puck will try to strike the dragon with a twin Eldritch Blast.
Okay, roll for it.
Hopefully doing something now. So 24 and 28.
Okay. Both
2
hits.
hits. Okay.
Both hits.
So I do a total of 16 damage.
Okay. All right. So as he gets hit again, the same thing, the same reaction. When he gets hit in the tail, he rides up and tries to erupt through the water as a reaction. And
he can't use reaction while he's slowed, though.
Okay, but I mean, he's just moving. Okay. He's not attacking.
Okay. Sorry.
He's just moving, and he pulls himself to the far, comes out of the water and pulls himself far onto the other end of the bridge. So probably 50 feet away. Dorn is hanging onto his tail, and he flicks his tail, and Dorn flies and lands within 10 feet of Puck and Nala. And as this happens, you guys are all, except for Lucky, you guys are all 50 or 60 feet away from him across the bridge. You see a cloud of green, thick green fog appear between you and this black dragon. You cannot see through it. It's encompassing the black dragon as well as the entire bridge. You hear just the beating of very large something, wings, and you hear a thud when it lands on the far side of the bridge, and you hear and then you hear what would you like to do?
Me or anyone else?
Anybody. This is for anybody. It's completely concealed. You guys just know what you heard.
Does this cloud look or smell familiar to my expertise?
You would know that this is the poison gas cloud of a green dragon. Except it's an exceptionally large cloud. You're not used to something this large, but it is completely obscuring everything.
I immediately warn the others. This is not good. A green dragon, larger than the black we've been fighting, has just landed behind this and created this cloud. I don't know if the black dragon is even still there. That could have been the sounds of his death.
Nala.
Lucky's gonna hear the words of warning, and he'll begin to ascend again with the pterodon, trying to put some space and assess the situation.
Okay. Nala.
No. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, yeah, you can hear me. I'm gonna stop concentrating on the spell because no one is in the water right now. I'm gonna try something maybe suicidal, but I'm gonna cast a gust of wind in front of me to clear the path to see what's in front of me. So it's 60 feet long and 10 feet wide blast from me, and it disperses gas or vapor, of course, and things like that.
Perfect. When you cast this gust of wind and the gas cloud moves away, you see just enough to see an enormous green dragon standing over the black that you have been fighting. And you see the green dragon holding the head of the black dragon that has been severed from its neck. You can see the acid and then the black blood of this dragon dripping from his mouth. And every time it hits the stone bridge, you hear tss, tss, and he looks at all of you and says, "Thank you, my friends. I've wanted to get rid of him for many centuries. You have made my life so much easier. He wasn't right in the head." And he takes the head and just tosses it into the moat, and just in just 3 or 4 really big wind swept wings, he rises up incredibly quickly and begins to fly away.
I assume there's no point in even taking a pot shot at this guy, right?
You're welcome to.
By all means.
He's about 200 feet away right now.
All right. Well, I don't get disadvantage normally, but the range is 120. So if he's 200 feet away, even with the +1, I miss. There's no way.
And he circles just a little bit, and he looks at Lucky as he's going, and you guys can all hear for some reason, even though he's very far away. He said, "A time will come when all of you will be no more. But for now, you will live, and this domain will all be mine. No longer will I have to listen to this brute. All of this wood will be mine. And soon, all of this world will be ours. And that's where we're going to end, guys.
Cool.
Hey,
Awesome.
did anybody else see that dragon grin?
Yeah.
Boo.
Sorry. I'm an archer. The shot was there. I had to take it.
But the story, guys, is actually loosely based off of a book by a guy named Lee Byers, where the rage is actually a topic in the book. I've obviously taken a lot of leeway with it, and with a one-shot, you can't really get into it. But the storyline could go 10 sessions. I just wanted to get to a stopping point where you guys could actually, get to the first dragon at least. There's about 40 of them in the book series, but
well, you're free to invite us for more of them. I guess
that's fine.
I'm up for it if you will have me.
It's all good. We're just gonna end there for now. Like I said, I just wanted to get to a point where you guys did get the dragon, but honestly, the amount of damage that y'all are throwing out, I underestimated that between Lucky and Silvaris. Good God. I mean, 38, 20, 50, 20. I mean, come on, dude. I could have given you two ancient worms, and y'all would have killed them. I mean, I kept bumping it up throughout the fight going, I can't end it yet. So, but like I said, but it was fun. I liked how Nala was more of like the utility player. Lucky and Silvaris were the damage. And Puck, you were just bait, dude. You played that role well.
Sorry about that, then. I mean, I hope I do not disappoint.
No. It's just it's part of the character, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't play it to be an experienced dragon slayer. He's a newbie to that, and it was meant to be played that way.
Good. Like I said, let me stop the broadcast real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I'll thank you all for coming. I had a great time.